What another lovely day it is here in Minnesota. We are live and recording the Oskar Quentin show, debate live, whatever it's called, doesn't matter. It's me. People call in, talk to me, usually about politics. The prompt today is related to the news cycle a little bit because Trump, I guess, settled with the IRS for his $10 billion, and they're doing some $1.7 billion slush fund for J6 rioters or some kind of nonsense, and him and his kids are exempt from tax audits forever. This is just like, you can't write this type of nonsense. It is just, let me get my in-house speakers down. It's just, you cannot write the degree to which Trump is not even bothering to hide the fact that he's corrupt, that he's a fraudster, that he is just robbing the American people blind for himself and his family and his friends. Maybe we'll have an argument about that today. Like most days, people will probably just call in with whatever they felt like talking about, and the prompt will get ignored. Machete is very excited that they're on time today. Good morning. Good to see you here. Who else is here? We got Ezra already. Ezra just made their way into the Discord. Message me if your username I'll recognize, because the Discord is private for now while it's under construction. But if you want to be a part of that, if I happen to know who you are. Hello, Klaus. Hello, Eric. Hello, Conald. Hello, Conald Trump. There we go. Hello, Enlightened Moonlight. Hello, Default User. Hello, Lucy. Who else is here? I saw some other names. Tarantula is, of course, here. Tarantula, always first to send the heart me, so W's in the chat. Oh, and Chromosome is here. He says, your mom. I should call my mom. Been about a week. Got to see what she's up to. All right, let's get the multi-guest request open, and let's see if we get a caller quickly. It's been happening lately where I get a caller like 1-2 minutes into the show. Though also lately the trolls have been after me, so it's been a lot of calls that just start with people spouting slurs at me and stuff. So we gotta dodge that a little bit before we get into the show. Hello, says Snacky Chan. I say hello back. Oh, and then Noodle. It's always 2 minutes into the show. Noodle comes over and she's like, "Give me attention. You're paying attention to other people." But you know, it's what it's like using a tiny studio apartment as a studio when you have pets. So MAGA are okay with reparations, but only people attacking our capital. Yeah. The only way that you get reparations from America is if you are loyal to the president instead of the Constitution. Cats rule. 700 says morning. Good morning. Cats do rule. Do I have a cat within arm's reach? I don't. I have several nearby, but I don't want to get out of the chair. All right, what do we got? We got 55 people in the door. That's good. I will ask, because I don't have a caller yet, that you all get double tapping away on the screen. That gets new viewership in here. That gets the stream pushed out to the For You page. If you're not following me, you should follow me. That also helps. Are you still trying to be Dean, says Hank. No. I don't think Dean invented this format. I think that if you think that Dean is like the king of debating politics in a video call-in format, then who was Dean trying to be? Somebody before that? The format's existed for decades, like since before the internet. They used to do it on the TV. Like, relax, dude. Machete says Oscar's better than Dean. Oscar's different than Dean. You know, we have different sounding voices. We have slightly different approaches to this. Dean was trying to be Charlie Kirk. Ugh. Yeah, Hank, I'm done engaging with you. Remember Crossfire? I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't the hosts talk about the Roblox and all the predators they caught? I don't know what that topic is. Crossfire on CNN. Yeah. I do remember that. I'm not super educated. I don't think I ever watched much of it. Let's see. What was the question? Oh, no, we don't need to find the question. We're gonna talk to James Lewis. Hopefully he's not going to immediately try to get the show banned with slurs. How old are you?
51.
You're a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Why?
Because of people like you.
Okay. Because of people like me, would you just tell my audience what you think about me?
You're a liberal. You probably, 24, 25, 23?
I'm 30.
Oh, you look young for 30. You probably ain't had a real job.
I've had some real jobs. I'm actually working on quitting my job in a couple of weeks. So if you guys want that to happen faster, link tree in the bio. What else do you know about me?
Yeah. You've been on TikTok for a year and a half now? Ish?
Started in February.
This year?
Yep.
Oh, you liberals run together. But it's the same as it was during the election. You guys sit there and rally and cry that Trump's destroying the world and this and that. I was waiting back in March 2025. The world was supposed to collapse, and it didn't.
Okay, wait. You've moved on to your thoughts about like other people. Because you're talking about liberals like me. So far, you're wrong on my age. You're wrong on how long I've been on the platform, and you haven't told me anything
So what about Trump not being able to be audited for past taxes? Do you think that's wrong?
I think that's flagrantly illegal.
Why?
The issue is that it's we could talk about him being exempt from being audited for this cycle or past years or something. That could be legally reasonable given what's happened with his taxes being leaked and stuff like that.
And that's what happened.
What's happening is that he's exempt from tax audits for all future years and all of his sons.
Show me where it says that. Show me. You pull up the verbiage. Oh my God,
my cat.
Pull up the verbiage. Pull up the verbiage. Pull it up in black and white that he's exempt from any future audits.
Trump audit exemptions. Let's see. Deal's family. Okay, oh my goodness, my cat wants to be the star of the show today.
Is that a Maine Coon?
No. She's much tinier than you'd think. She's just a really, really short, like perma kitten, just like long-haired domestic. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. Trump and his family have. This is the Times, by the way.
Okay.
If you're going to trust that. Trump and his family have been handed a permanent exemption from further investigation of all past tax affairs by the Department of Justice. You know what? I might be starting the show today by handing a W to this, because what I was told is by the headlines is that he's exempt from all future audits. Maybe you're right about that. So let's read further. The extraordinary waiver was issued as part of the settlement to resolve Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service over the leak of his tax returns in 2019. The settlement included the creation of a $1.776 billion anti-weaponization fund to compensate the victims of the alleged overreach by the Justice Department. Which, by the way, just as an aside, the fact that he's using arbitrary financial figures that match historically important years in America, this is arbitrary, nonsensical, corrupt bullshit. But because we're supposed to come up with a number that makes legal sense, not one that looks good on paper. So we can just move on from that. The Democrats have described it as a slush fund and claim it will use taxpayer money to benefit Trump's allies and supporters. The Trump administration says anyone can apply for compensation for losses suffered as a result of political persecution, no matter their background. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, criticized the fund. He said he was not a big. Okay, this article's not super substantive. It just has that guy's opinion. Is that it? We want more information. According to a one-page document signed by Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, the U.S. is forever barred and precluded from persecuting or pursuing any and all claims, including monetary relief, that could have been asserted by the IRS against Trump, his family, or his businesses. So actually, never mind. I'm taking the W away. I was right. This paragraph right here, this big one in blue, is the most flat out, unhidden, in broad daylight, financial corruption we have yet seen from the Trump administration. Explain why you think this is okay.
It's not entirety. Like I said, it's a news article, but if you look it up and you go back to the actual black and white print of the actual ruling, it's only for past investigations.
Okay. Do you think that that's legal? Do you think it's legal for the IRS to be barred from investigating Trump or his family?
I think the IRS is illegal in and of itself, and I think it has been weaponized.
Okay, I'm going to bring up my friend Diava, because she happens to have some legal experience, and she does have the language of it in front of her. Diava, you want to take the floor for a moment?
Yeah, I actually
keep it chill, Diava. It's the beginning of the show, not the end.
I promise I will.
Okay.
I have the actual signed settlement agreement that Todd Blanche signed, and I'll read to you exactly what it says. That way there's no ambiguity onto what it meant. It says the United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from, and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of action, appeals, or requests for any relief, including injunctive relief, monetary relief, damages, examinations or similar or related reviews, appeals, debt relief, costs, attorney's fees, expenses, and or interest, whether presently known or unknown, that as of the effective date of the settlement agreement have been or could have been asserted by defendants against any of the plaintiffs or related or affiliated individuals, including without limitation family or others filing jointly, or parties including trusts, parent, sister, or related companies, affiliates, and subsidiaries by any reason of, with respect to, and in connection with, or which arise out of any matters that were raised or could have been raised in the case or the pending agency claims, lawfare and or weaponization, or any matters currently pending or that could be pending, including tax returns filed before the effective date, before defendants and other agencies or departments.
Okay, so there's the direct language.
Effective date. There's the clause before the effective date. See, comprehension.
That's exactly how every Republican does this. Where you listen to the entire paragraph, you're like, it has the word before in it. That means it's only to do with the past, and you ignore everything else that it says. I don't think you have the
everything before that says it literally says that they are released. His family, any business filings, any that prior to that date. That means, in legal language, and your friend's a lawyer.
It includes stuff in the past, and then it specifically mentions, Diava can find the exact wording again, where it says all potential pending, anything that might pend.
I was just going to say, it says any matters currently pending or could be
pending for past file returns.
Okay, you're just inserting that.
No, it says it right at the very end.
Diava, read it. Yes. It talks about the stuff in the past. It talks about the stuff that isn't in the past because it could be in the future. It talks about both.
In other words, in 5 years from now, they can't go back and say, "Oh, in 2018, you didn't file this." That's what it says.
Okay, James, just so you know, it matters in this context. Okay, it says any matters currently pending or that could be pending. Parentheses. Including tax returns filed before the effective date. That doesn't mean everything. Can you please let me speak?
I don't think he knows what the word including means.
It says it is in parentheses, including tax returns filed before the effective date. In parentheses.
Now you're arguing, James. You're arguing, James, that it says only tax returns prior to this particular date. When
Correct.
It isn't, it says including. So, do you speak English?
Correct. That's correct.
And see, where you guys aren't comprehending is
don't speak English.
It's concerning lawsuits and all that.
I don't think you have the reading comprehension to understand what it says.
I don't think you guys.
And even if you were right, which you're not,
I would fire.
Diava's not a lawyer.
I'm a paralegal. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a paralegal. I'm not a lawyer.
You might want to go to school a little bit
I'm
more.
Unsurprised that the caller has disrespectful things to say about the woman who I've invited up to the panel. Like, big W for you, I guess, that you've shown everybody a little bit of your attitude. That's fine. Even if you were right about what this ruling says, which you are not. But even if you were, it would still be flagrantly illegal and corrupt.
Why?
Because the president can't bar the IRS from investigating him and his family.
The president didn't. One, it was taken to court. Two,
it was not.
The attorney general has been accused on the Senate floor of acting as Trump's personal lawyer in this case.
And that didn't happen with Obama and Biden. See, like I said,
but Obama, but Biden, like, yeah,
you liberals.
Oscar,
you know what? I thank you because last night proved.
Let Diava talk. James, shut up. I don't use the mute button, but Diava does. So, Diava, you're allowed to mute people if you need to. He's being very disrespectful.
Men can't help themselves from talking over me, so I have to use the mute button.
Oh, because I'm a man.
So what happened is the problem is this case never went before a judge. This case was dismissed prior to it ever going in front of a judge or anyone else's eyes on it. And then he settled with himself, essentially. He settled with himself on this deal. No one has looked at this. No judge has seen this. No one saw his lawsuit against the IRS. He dropped it prior to any judge or anyone else seeing it. You are just categorically wrong. Not shocking, though. They're usually wrong about everything.
He's teacup, so I bet he's trying to go read it himself to figure out how he can twist the words to make it sound like what he wants it to say, which is the only strategy they have left.
Yeah, maybe he's Googling to see if it ever went in front of a judge. But the problem is he had to show malice or damage or something like that for the initial case, for the IRS case.
I also caught something earlier. Sorry for interrupting, but I also caught something earlier that means that this conversation is going to be a waste no matter what. Because he did, as soon as we started pressing what it actually said, he said that he thinks that the IRS is like illegal in the first place. So I'm pretty sure we're talking to a libertarian who's going to be very upset that I identify as a democratic socialist for Bernie Sanders type reasons, because most people don't know the difference between a democratic socialist and a social democrat. So I don't really bother with the label distinctions. I bet we're going to go down that rabbit hole. But the point is, if we're talking to somebody who doesn't believe that the IRS is legal in the first place, I really don't think he's going to respect the law of the land. I really don't think he's going to respect the Constitution. I don't think any of this actually matters to him.
I agree. And if I might add real quick, oh, God, I hate having a brain fart.
What'd you brain fart on? I guess.
The IRS, real quick.
Excuse me, James. I just answered Diava. I just asked
in front of a judge.
James, James, you spoke out of turn. I had asked Diava a question. She was answering when you started talking. Learn some fucking manners if you want to be on my show. I can handle the disrespect, but I don't like it when people come onto my show and disrespect women. And you're treating her differently than you're treating me, like every other caller. So just fucking get yourself under control if you want to be up here. Sorry, Diava. What were you saying?
That's okay. I was just going to say that the leak from the IRS happened in 2019 under his administration.
Yeah. I mean, I think leaks are, like, in general bad, so I can see the potential of some wrongdoing here. I'm not super educated on what happened with Trump's tax leaks. I just don't think that protecting his family from audit forever is at all a legal or reasonable solution.
Well, no, not his businesses, his family, and anyone affiliated. He used the word affiliated with him who or is files jointly. So that would be Melania. That would be literally anyone or any court case. If you think about it, think about this, Oscar. Oh, but that's just for the IRS, right?
I would assume so. I mean, again, within the context of IRS investigations, the language is as broad as it could possibly be to include as many people doing as many things as is humanly possible in the scope of an IRS investigation, which is not an appropriate response to a frivolous lawsuit where the president tried to sue his own country for $10 billion. That's ridiculous. But we should let James try to answer to some of this stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who signed off on the agreement?
Todd Blanche.
Yeah, the acting attorney general, who used to be Trump's personal lawyer, by the way.
That's the only signature.
Can a lawyer sign off on a court case?
Well, he's the acting attorney general.
Just a moment. I can answer only because I'm a paralegal and I was a court reporter for many years. We would go into a hearing or a deposition, and when the questions started flying and they realized they were going to lose, they would automatically settle, and then the attorney signed it, and then they just they turned it in. So yes, attorneys do it all the time. They do settlement agreements all the time.
A judge doesn't have to sign off on it.
No.
Not at all?
No, because they dropped the case.
Before it gets entered into the court system,
they dropped the case. No, you're just wrong.
A judge's signature is not needed for a settlement.
Yes, it is. Yes,
not always. It is not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
He dropped the case. He withdrew the case. He withdrew the $10 billion. He withdrew. Listen, it never went forward because he withdrew the case and then did the agreement for the $1.7 billion agreement with IRS. Had nothing to do with, it did have to do with the case, but it didn't need to go in front of a judge because he withdrew the case.
A judge still has to sign off.
Why are you making that up? Why are you asserting that? That's just not the case. I have withdrawn like a lawsuit that I had, like a civil suit, and I didn't need a judge's signature. I just filed the paperwork saying I wasn't going to do it anymore.
But there was a settlement.
No, the settlement was with the IRS, not with the court. He withdrew his case.
Still has to sign off.
He withdrew. No, he withdrew the case, which means the case didn't exist.
Wouldn't have to hold him liable. If he completely withdrew, a judge still has to sign off to make it official.
No,
you're just making that up. Like, where did you get that? Where are you getting that assertion? Do you have any legal experience? You have a paralegal on the panel right now.
I don't care. She's wrong. A judge has to sign
Then
off.
prove me wrong. Give me the law.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but I believe her. I bring her up here because she has professional legal expertise.
So wrong. A judge, it doesn't matter. A judge still
He withdrew the case, you fucknut.
Yeah, dude, like you're just
Jesus Christ.
You just screaming, "Trust me, bro." But like,
no, look it up. If she's such a paralegal, look it up.
It's your irrelevant positive claim. You can look it up if you want and give us evidence, but it doesn't actually even fucking matter. Again, why do we here? I'm gonna take the floor for a second and just point out this is another example of me having a conversation with a Republican who supports. Dude, do you think that's gonna?
Boy.
Oh, dude, he ran. Okay, so I'll just say that it's another example of a Republican arguing about something that Trump did that's illegal, arguing these random minutia. What was the judge's name? Who signed the paper? How does this work? I think it should work that way. That's not how the law works. I think it does work that way. You have a paralegal here who has decades of experience. Yeah, but that's correct, right? You were a paralegal for like 25 years or something, like really long.
Well, I was a court reporter for 15 years in the court system, and then I've been a paralegal for about 6 years.
Sorry, I trust Diava when she says that you're fucking wrong about that. I trust the chat lighting up and saying that you're fucking wrong, and it's on you to prove your nonsense claim, which isn't even relevant to whether or not what Trump did was illegal in the first place. But he knew he was cornered. He knew I wasn't going to let that shit fly. He knew it wasn't going to work on my show, so he ran. Diava, thank you for hopping up.
If I might, can I say one more thing before I jump down?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just did a quick Google search, and it says whether a judge needs to sign depends entirely on the stage of the case and the jurisdiction-specific civil procedure rules. In most systems, if you are the plaintiff, you can voluntarily dismiss your lawsuit early on without a judge's signature. Thank you.
Yeah, which I also knew just as a fact was literally. I'm going to let you go for the algorithm.
Yep, gotcha. Thanks.
Thanks for hopping up. Yeah, my goodness, my pets are so needy. The reason I was so assertive and I didn't even want to bother Googling it is because I literally have withdrawn a civil suit myself, and because it didn't go far enough, I didn't need a judge's signature. I was able to just do it with like the mediator or whatever. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Everybody in the chat, everybody in the guest request box, Noodle, what's going on? W's in the chat for Noodle for distracting me during the show, because she makes me feel better when the chuds come and don't understand the law. We're gonna talk to Bridget 252. Excuse me, Noodle. All done. We're gonna talk to Bridget 252, who is hopefully a Trump supporter and hopefully of age. Bridget 252, how old are you? Oh, she didn't connect. I always try to time it better than that, but not today. Not today. I guess I'll take a moment to say that you can go to Linktree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. That helps support me for free. It doesn't cost a dime. If you have a dime you want to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, my Cash App, my Buy Me a Coffee, or my Patreon. Those are the ways to support the show so I can quit my job, because I'm not sleeping enough. I am taking care of myself, but it is exhausting doing this around the clock, because it's way more than 2 hours to produce this 2-hour show. What do I think about the IRS situation is a comment. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that that's how we spent the first 20 minutes of the show, unless the next caller wants to talk about that. That's probably not going to be. I don't want that to be the topic again. I feel like we covered it. Like it's so obvious, Trump's crimes. Do we really need more than that 20-minute phone call to even discuss the matter? To like, is there anything else to discuss? We went over it. Okay, Bridget didn't connect. So the request queue is open. So I will insist that the 327 people watching get double tapping away on the screen so we can get pushed out to that For You page and we can get some new Trump supporters in here. So I do get a little bit tired of talking to the same people. Those regular callers are fascinating. You know, I love that part of following the show is that you get to actually build some rapport with these people. And I have a couple of callers. There's a couple people I'm thinking of. The regular viewers know I'm thinking of people like Iowa Golfer when I say it's cool that there are people who call in like once a week, and over the course of a couple of months, like progress is made. Like they get a little educated about how things are going on. Some minds get changed on the show. But in terms of keeping the show fresh and interesting, we got to have new callers. We got to have new voices. How could anyone support the demented mango? I think the cult psychologists are going to be studying it for a long time. It's remarkable the pretzels people bend themselves into to accept what he's doing, make it for, in some way defensible. It's just, it's, I don't know. But I mean, that guy just went to devote, you could tell the moment he knew he was outclassed by the panel and just decided to devolve into name calling and running. McMuffin has joined the request queue. McMuffin,
hello.
Hello, how old are you? 21. You're a Trump supporter?
From Virginia.
Okay.
I'd say so. I voted for him.
Do you want him to stay president?
Not really. I'd like Marco Rubio.
Okay. Why?
Marco Rubio, he's just more presidential, if that makes sense. I mean, Trump, like, I voted for him necessarily for a smaller government, and obviously he kind of didn't do that, so that was a little bit of a blindside. But
yeah, do you
regardless
think
of that,
that Marco Rubio is going to shrink the government if he becomes president?
Marco Rubio, I'd vote for him just because he feels more presidential.
No. The primary reason that you landed on when I asked you why you would prefer this switch is because you wanted a smaller government, and Trump didn't do that. He made a bigger government.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you think that Marco Rubio would shrink the government is my question that you didn't answer.
In 2016, he did campaign on that a little bit, so I believe he would at least attempt to.
You know what? I don't think we can trust the campaign promises of Republicans. Do you think that's a reasonable thing for me to say? Especially ones that are from a decade ago?
I mean,
J.D. Vance,
maybe.
10 years ago, was saying that he hated Trump and he was making comparisons of him to Hitler.
Yeah.
He's currently Trump's vice president. Do you think that anything a high-level Republican said in 2016 is relevant to what they might do if they become president soon?
Rubio, I believe, is still relevant, but Vance is a good example. I believe he's just an opportunist.
Okay, I mean, so you can say that you think that Marco Rubio is going to be special and not do that. So the answer to the question is that yes, you think that Rubio is going to shrink the government if he becomes president?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I've met him in person. He's a nice guy.
Oh God, really? You're just going to fall for the charisma of Marco Rubio?
Yeah. He speaks Spanish. Half the country speaks Spanish.
I don't think I can take this call seriously. Like, I'm asking you why you think he's not going to continue the rise to tyranny, this growth of the government that you yourself admitted in the call is a problematic thing, and your answer is it's because he speaks Spanish?
Well, additionally as well is the reason he's Secretary of State. I mean, you'd rather be in the room and have some say versus being outside of it.
What? What does that have to do with this line of conversation that we're having? It's just a thought you had about him. It doesn't really answer my concerns about him. My concerns about him are that he's dishonest, that he works for a government that is doing very, very horrible things to Hispanic people. And that to me makes it, that to me is a bigger deal than the fact that he happens to speak Spanish. The fact that he speaks Spanish makes him more able to be charismatic and convince Hispanic voters that they should vote for him, which I would say is a problem because he's undeniably going to continue doing things that are terrible for the Hispanic community.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a neo-libertarian falangist, so...
Yeah, I could kind of tell that's where we were going already. Is that by the time we get to the actual meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, you're just going to flip the table and say, I'm a libertarian, none of it matters, I don't like any of these rules. And then suddenly there's nothing left for us to talk about.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of modern Republican voters, though, like nowadays, are just really dumb.
Did you see how it was a waste of time for us to have a conversation at all if you're just going to pull the libertarian card and say that you don't like any of it?
Not really. I mean, nobody was here. I just requested up because, like, nobody was in the requesting box, so I just requested up. So I might as well.
No, but now that of the time that you did get on my show, why did you spend it doing that when you were going to fall back to the fact that you're a neo-libertarian who doesn't care about any of this?
I watched a Dean live stream and a guy went up there and said neo-libertarian falangist, and he said it's like a niche thing, so I decided to do that. Yeah, dude, I think I'm going to move on. I don't think that you're here because you care about what's going on in the country. I don't think you care about convincing me or my audience of anything. I think I'm just going to label you one of those libertarian filbros who doesn't have a spine about any of the issues and just wants to hear themselves talk. You know, I can't even debate against that because I don't have any proof otherwise, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have all the proof we need about the type of caller you are. We're going to move on to plain entity. My brain can't do, for whatever reason, I'm highly literate, but I have a really hard time separating where the words separate when there's not a space between them. Plain entity. I was like trying to make it one word. Anyway, I'm going to bring them in. Getting better at dealing with those filbros, everybody. They tend to bog me down sometimes. That one was quick. How old are you?
No, I'm saying, I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just trying
Hello?
to... All right, whatever.
Goodbye.
All right. Now, there's nobody in the request box once again, but I'm still glad there's not a spineless libertarian who just doesn't care about any of this stuff and is just going to plead the IRS is illegal. That's actually happened with two of our calls so far today. The 2 calls that we've had, both of them have just been talked into a corner on the thing that they brought me and then immediately said, well, I'm a libertarian, which effectively means I don't give a shit about anything in terms of government policy or rules or regulations because I'm so against rules or regulations that you can't even have a discussion about American politics. I give them time to kind of show people how nonsensical like a libertarian standpoint is because I don't think it's a good alternative to being a Republican. I don't think that being a libertarian makes you better when the current fight that's happening in American politics is between the Democrats who want to follow the Constitution and the Republicans who are trying to fucking overthrow the country because they're loyal to whoever the president is. Because let's be real, it doesn't really matter whether it stays Trump or not. The guy's old and dying, but they're loyal to the president, the Republican chosen president instead of the Constitution. And a libertarian is just a wasted vote until we have or any kind of independent is just going to be a wasted vote if they're voting for something else until we have ranked choice voting. And these middle of the ground political positions are just not fucking helpful to the problem. Oh, you want the government to be smaller? You live in the wrong country, dude, because neither party is trying to make the government small. Like, what do we do about the fact that he's upset? These callers are upset that the government's getting bigger. He doesn't want, the big government, whatever that might mean. Maybe he doesn't like the police state. Maybe he doesn't like the surveillance. Maybe he doesn't like the fact that the government is exercising overreach about who gets to say what by threatening to pull FCC licenses from like TV stations that platform hosts that they don't like. Like maybe that's what he's about. And the Democrats are a solution to that problem that might actually happen. Whereas just saying that you don't like any of it at all is just not helpful. It's just not pragmatic. It's not going to do anything. At home, 11:30 a.m. on a Wednesday. It's 10:30 a.m. in my time zone, and I get to work from home now because this is my job. It's making money. Thanks everybody for the donations. I don't think I have any new ones to read since the beginning of the show, but the show is very, very rapidly approaching a point where I will be able to quit my job. I kind of have already scheduled quitting my job. Is McMuffin back, or was that I can't remember if that was the libertarian or the person who was away from keyboard.
I'm back.
Okay, what do you want?
So, it's hard to debate with somebody that believes themselves to always be correct, I'd suppose.
It's not that I think I'm right. It's that I explained what I think about this, and you seem to not be able to argue against that.
I mean, I'm going to vote for Rubio in 2028. I voted yes on the Virginia redistricting amendment just because, I'm big about the compromise, and compromise is necessary in government. Rubio, he appears right now at, I don't know who's the Democrats are going to run.
If you want to pick up our discussion about Rubio, we can pick it up where we left off, which is that you mentioned that he's charismatic and he speaks Spanish, which is good for the country. And I pointed out that the horrible things the administration that he's a part of are doing to Hispanic people is a demonstration that it's not all that big a win for Hispanic people that he speaks Spanish. And you didn't answer that.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by that.
Hispanic people generally are pretty fucking upset about what the Trump administration is doing. Would you agree?
Yes, I'd say everybody is.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody, most people, but especially among Hispanics, especially among other minorities, women, African Americans, really anybody who's not a white dude, really, really unpopular, the things that he's doing, because he's violating the civil rights of Americans, violating the civil rights of immigrants here, all kinds of residents, legal and otherwise, especially those of Hispanic people, because there's now allowed, these Kavanaugh stops where they can racially profile these people. There's a lot of wind noise, so I'm just going to mute you while I'm talking for a second here, and I'm probably going to let you go because, again, I don't feel like the conversation is going to be productive. So, yeah, the fact that he's participating in that, because if I was participating in it, even if I wanted good things for America, I would resign from an administration that was doing that. I couldn't be a part of it. So I think that because he's doing that, why did you bring up that he speaks Spanish, I guess is my question, in light of all of that? I've sent you the invitation to unmute yourself.
Is that, just... I guess, culture-wise, the United States is changing, and a lot of the Republican Party does not seem to recognize that.
Changing how? And how is that relevant to my question?
Well, that's where Spanish comes in, is that, the U.S. isn't necessarily, a WASP-ran nation anymore, and they should just accept that. And I understand that kind of sounds, a little weird, but... Rubio is just a little more, he's more minded to the multiculturalism.
But Hispanics across the board fucking hate the guy for working in the Trump administration. That's my point. You haven't answered to that.
I mean, not what I see.
You're going to use your own sphere of influence instead of like polling data?
I don't know. I've never looked at polling data.
I wonder if there is specific Hispanic on Marco Rubio polling data. I know that Hispanics broadly don't support what the administration is doing, so I'm making the leap to say that they don't support Marco Rubio for participating in it. But I really do think that most Hispanic people would consider Marco Rubio to be a race traitor. And I would accuse him of being a race traitor. I just don't think my opinion matters as much on that. Let's see. Let's see. Top 20 polling data about Marco Rubio. Hispanics. I don't know if there is specific data about that. So maybe I made the leap. Maybe I said that they don't like him. But again, I think that maybe your worldview is small. I find it hard to believe that you think that... do you think that most Hispanic people like Marco Rubio?
I mean, I would say it's like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah, you think it's 50-50? Okay.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio favorability, April 2025. That's a little
like in California and New York, of course, I believe it's going to be less favorable just naturally due to those states' cultures. But
sure.
But like Texas and Florida, I believe they would be more in favor.
Okay. Because I don't want to go down like a super deep Google rabbit hole. I've already lost 50 viewers by trying to do it. I will leave these tabs open, and I will on my own time figure out how Hispanics feel about Marco Rubio. If you want to go do it on your own. Oh, wait, did somebody find it for me? Oh, Machete, thank you so much. Rubio is standing with Latino voters. Let's see. Sorry for the dead air, everybody. I just don't want to run from the ask to like actually research my claim. It's just hard to do it in a way that works for the show. Rubio standing with Latino voters, Latino decisions. I wish the live like suite would just let me click the links in the chat. That would be Rubio's. It's not that Rubio is standing with Latino voters. It's Rubio's standing with. Okay, so let's see here. The first data that we found, thanks chat for getting that quickly, is that 31%. This is election eve poll. This is old though. No, this is outdated. Sorry. I saw the date. This is 2014. See, this is why I try not to do this type of stuff live on the show. This is way too outdated an article. It's from 2015. So he was unfavorable then. I doubt he's gained favor. But that is a little bit outdated. So I can ask the chat to maybe find something better if they want, or somebody on the Discord. But again,
I mean, I guess if you're gonna like find the polling, I guess I'll join your Discord and I'll just kind of wait for it if it's like in an announcement section or something.
Well, the Discord's not public right now. But you are welcome to come back. For me, part of it is like I wish I could pause time right now and spend 5 minutes digging this up. It is just terrible for the show. I'd lose the viewership, so I have to protect the show to some degree. But I tell all viewers where we run into this sort of research conundrum where it's like, please do your homework. You can call back before the end of the show with that if you find polling data that's from a reputable source. Like, we can look at it. I'm not going to run from the issue. I just do have to run the show in a way that works. But again, I don't think any of it actually matters all that greatly because you're just asserting that Marco Rubio is going to like do something that you find more favorable, and I just don't think you have a good claim for that given what he's doing for the Trump administration. Like, if you want the government to be smaller, right? Like, that's like
reduced deficit. I misspoke earlier, and I apologize about that. I'm more about reduced deficit, just because 30%, I believe, is about we spent 30% of the federal budget is federal debt. Yeah.
I'm sorry. We spent so much time talking about how you wanted to shrink the government before you corrected me and said that you want to reduce the.
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand as well, but
yeah, not even really. When the reason that the deficit is exploding under Trump doesn't actually have to do with him increasing the size of the government in very significant ways. Like, that's a part of it, but most of it has to do with like tax redistribution of wealth from like the poor people to the wealthy people, and like cutting things like that. So like, yeah,
well, I mean, 1.5 trillion defense budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the defense budget is an incy bit too big. But again, I just feel like you're just flip-flopping around a different thing. I stole the phrase from the from the chat that he's flip-flopping, because you're kind of just like moving on to the next thing, when I just don't think, what I really don't understand is that given that the mission of the Republicans right now is to expand the government in a way that really violates the people's rights, which the libertarians don't like, you would think that just out of self-preservation, the libertarians would want to vote.
That's why I voted for Spanberger in my Virginia governor race. Because I didn't like what Trump was doing.
Okay, yeah, I just think that for a presidential candidate, you should, if you're going to have to choose between a Democrat and a Republican, you should choose a Democrat if you're concerned about the size of the government. Because right now, it's the Reds who want to make the government big. Like, you're not going to get a third-party candidate in 2028. I don't think it's practical. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's like a good use of our time.
I do recognize that voting third party is pretty much useless outside of a local level.
Right. Okay. So if you're going to choose between red and blue, why are you choosing a red candidate when right now what's happening in American politics is that the red party has spent 10 years trying to expand the government in ways that is like unconstitutional and horrible for people's rights, and the Democrats are trying to expand the government in some social safety net type of ways that libertarians don't like. We don't need to go get sucked into the fact that we disagree about that. I'm just arguing that from the libertarian perspective, the Democrats are doing far less evil than the Republicans right now. Why are you planning on voting for Republicans?
I mean, ultimately, I just like Rubio on a federal level. State-wise, I vote blue, but federally, Rubio just looks attractive.
Again, you haven't given me an answer that's other than that you like met him and you found him to be charismatic and he speaks Spanish. I just like him, to quote the chat.
Yeah,
vibes and feelings. Like that's not a good enough reason to vote for somebody. There were, there's been plenty of times where I voted for a candidate who like maybe was less articulate or less like interesting to me personally or less like fun to watch or whatever. But I part of what I do on the show is I try to train people that none of that shit matters. You have to look at what policies are going to be the outcome. People don't like tracking hypotheticals. They want to go on vibes. But the problem with not tracking hypotheticals in these conversations is that if we vote for a politician, the question is, hypothetically, if they took the seat, what would happen to the country? So every political decision as a voter is a hypothetical of some kind. Hypothetically, if we pass this law, what would happen? Hypothetically, if Donald Trump stays president, what would happen? These are the hypotheticals that we have to engage with. And what I'm saying is that hypothetically, if a Democrat became a president next, instead of literally any Republican that would be supported by the current very unconstitutional Republican Party, any Democrat that is supported broadly by Democrats is somebody who's going to give you the smaller government that you want at the federal level.
Okay.
I'll take this pause in the conversation to say, Nicholas, thank you very much for the $20. What does he say? He says, any advice for keeping an open mind on these topics? Yeah, the thing I tell people most broadly is take in more information. Do not listen to one source on anything. Like go if you have a story that you have feelings about, go read 10 articles about it. Ground News is a pretty good source for finding a broad spectrum of that stuff, but just generally, more information, more better. It's very hard to be brainwashed if you just take in multiple information from multiple sources, and then you don't have to listen to me. Anyway, yeah, so again, back to the call. You got anything other than vibes?
No, I don't.
Do you think it's good to vote on vibes?
No, I mean...
So you don't think that the reason that you use to pick your candidates is a good reason?
I just haven't really looked into what Rubio's done so far besides how he holds himself and what he says on his press conferences. So far, I mean, he looks most sensible of the most likely to be Republican presidential candidates.
Yeah, but that's just based on how he looks and talks. And what I'm saying is that you brought this concern about the size of the government, and I laid out a very specific concern that I think that if you're a libertarian and you have I can assume some things about you because you have some libertarian values. You can correct them if we run into anything I say about your beliefs that are wrong. But if you do want to shrink the government, neither party wants to do that right now. The Republicans want to grow it to take away your civil rights and create some kind of fucking police state. The Democrats are trying to feed kids. Which is the lesser of two evils in terms of a big government?
Lesser of two would be blue.
Okay, so then why are you going to vote for Marco Rubio?
It's hard to, I guess, explain it to other people, but I live in Virginia, and generally I'm of the belief where it's better to have a state government that's opposite to what the federal government is politically.
Okay. So I'm going to interrupt and do two things. The first thing I'm going to do is read the rest of the donor's message because they put it in the chat because it wasn't big enough on Cash App. They also wanted to say that they love the show and great work. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate the kind words. The other thing I'm going to say is that you're moving the goalpost because we talked about this thing of like the size of the government being what's important to you. We had that long awkward pause where you saw that very clearly I was right. You admitted that I was right. And now you've fallen back to something else, which is that you want there to be a different federal level government than a state level government, which as a libertarian makes sense. Completely, totally, actually, even though I think that that's silly and wrong, within a libertarian framework where you care about the government not growing, not becoming more powerful, that makes sense because the effect of the government growing is stymied by federal leadership not matching the party of your local state leadership. So I actually completely get that, but my problem is that even if we're going to do that, I would argue that then you should be voting blue at the federal level and red at the state level, because that will prevent the situation that we just abandoned, that talking about, which is that the Republicans at the federal level are trying to create like a fucking police state of some kind, and the Democrats are literally just trying to create social safety nets that protect poor people from staying poor forever. Which, by the way, economically benefits the taxpayers that pay for those programs, which I could argue about all day, and I do on this show, but I feel like you're running from the problem by bringing up this federal and state level distinction, when in reality, even if you're going to go with that, you should do it the other way around, because the federal government being Republicans right now is a way bigger problem for your libertarian ideals.
Yes, and I entirely agree with most of what you're saying. It's just, based off of vibes and feels, I'm probably going to vote for Rubio.
So we're back to vibes and feels.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to act in good faith. I'm sorry, but
that's great.
I'm just being honest.
I honestly I believe you, and I appreciate you. Instead of running from it, instead of trying to make up bullshit, you are just telling me that your reason is vibes and feels. So I guess if we're going to continue the conversation, I would like to stay on the fact that you vote on vibes and feels, because there's nothing I can say about any particular issue of policy then. All of this time talking about the size of the government, all of this time talking about the distinction about what federal and state level you should be voting red and blue to get your dichotomy that stymies progress in the government, whatever. None of that shit matters if you're just going to fall back to vibes and feels. So
why for the Virginia governor election? I know it's a little niche, so I'm sorry, but when it came to
we're talking about American politics, we can go niche.
When it's Spamberger versus Winsome Sears, obviously I looked, and Sears was essentially just, doing I own guns, you should vote for me, I'm Republican. Well, Spamberger was actually giving, I'm a moderate, here's my history in Congress, blue dog. I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. I kind of trust with what she's saying. I went to one of her campaign rallies, and I was like, wow. So you like I just said previously to you bringing that up, I don't mind talking about issues that are a little bit more local to you. Will, the mod, if he wants to hop up as a Virginian to rescue me on not knowing the local stuff, please do. He just messaged me on the Discord. But again, just a second ago, I said that there's not much use in us talking about the particular policy positions when every conversation that we've had, every little subchapter of this conversation where we have addressed policy concerns, you have gotten to the end and fallen back on vibes and feels. So I said we should talk about the fact that you vote on vibes and feels. Nothing else seems very important if that's what you're going to fall back on no matter what. And then you immediately went back into the policy positions, which don't matter, because I assert, based on talking to you for the last, however long it's been, this call and the previous one, that if the vibes and feels were different about your local governors, you would vote differently, because it seems that that's what you most care about. But I am going to invite Will up to the panel because he is a Virginian, and he happens to be a trusted party for me because he's on the mod team. So W's in the chat for Will and the rest of the mods for working their butts off on keeping this show going.
Hey, Oscar. Hey, everybody. I'm doing all right. Yes. What's your name?
McMuffin.
No, seriously. Can I get a first name or a fake first name that's actually a name?
John.
All right, John. So John, are you? You say you're a libertarian, right?
I would. Yes.
Okay. What libertarian policies specifically are you interested in?
Namely, libertarian-wise, I'm of the belief that the federal government has just gotten a little too big. Their deficit spending is incredible, and then the bureaucracy as well is just too large.
Okay, that sounds more conservative than it does libertarian. And you said you supported Spamberger?
Yes.
Correct? Okay, so did I. How do you feel about her vetoing the M drug marketplace?
I mean, I don't really know why she did that. Virginia, it's already been legal for since 2021. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, she's a little bit I guess I think she wants to run for president. So I think she's just trying to balance it a little bit.
Trying to improve those vibes and feels that everybody has about her.
Yes.
As a libertarian, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I just have a hard time with. Keep going.
Well, as a libertarian, it should have gone through because, I mean, marijuana, I don't want to say it's essentially like alcohol.
Dude, it's TikTok TOS. You cannot say the names.
You can't say the name of...
No, I will. I'll say. I'll take. No, it's no problem. I should.
You saw where I was going, though, right?
Of course. That she's not promoting the smaller government that he wants. Because relaxing that. Dude, McMuffin. I was literally about to apologize for not I always try to do it when these topics come up and say, hey, TikTok TOS, we have to kick you if you say the words. So
didn't bait you, dude.
It's super nuclear. You're welcome back up on the show. You're the most productive libertarian conversation I've ever had on this show. So I'm not running from it. Just literally any other calendar day, if you say the name of a illicit substance on this show, you are not allowed back up on the same day. That is just a hard rule I have to protect the account. Every single live host that has more than 5 viewers has to follow that rule or they get their account removed. So
before I let you drop me down, Oscar, just real quick, John or McMuffin, whatever, didn't bait you, dude. I almost slipped up and said the actual name of the M drug before I corrected myself to say M drug. So
I've gotten a 3-day ban for making.
Dude, it wasn't dirty, bro.
Making those types of slips. Thanks for hopping up, Will. Keep the W's going in the chat for Will. He's one of the mods. He's one of the people who keeps the show going, so I can focus on the calls. I'm going to focus on my call with Orange Lazarus, a username I recognize, but it's been a while, so I don't remember which one this is. How old are you, Orange Lazarus?
30.
30. You support Trump?
I did.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Have we talked before? You no longer support Trump, right?
Yeah.
What did it for you? Just to remind the audience. I don't think I'm going to keep you up, but just remind us.
The Iran war.
Yeah. That's a big one. I am going to let you go just because we're looking for a debate, but and you can come back up maybe in about an hour closer to noon Central Standard Time. Well, I'll take some friendly calls. Oh, here we go. I've been dodging him in the queue, but he's the only one now. RC is back. We're going to talk to RC. We're going to see what RC is on about today. How you doing, RC? Remind me how old you are, RC?
29.
29. What are we talking about today?
No, I think the left is vile and disgusting.
Okay. Why?
Because you encourage violence, you make fun of it when it happens, and you guys are all pieces of shit and disgusting. You're filth.
Wait, dude, slow down. You're gonna get a TikTok harassment and bullying flag for phrasing it in such a uncreative way. Let's not have a repeat of the previous call, okay? You can say mean things about me. Just be a little more creative than that, okay? Because I really do.
What you believe is filth.
Okay. Those are very general statements. Do you want to maybe say something that I believe?
Statement. You've already admitted that you, for contempt of court, were threatening them if they didn't have the verdict for the George Floyd case against Derek Chauvin that they should have.
You're just labeling protesting as threatening. Who is threatened? If we're gonna talk about if we're gonna have a conversation about what is a legal threat and what is or isn't allowed under the law defines a threat in almost every jurisdiction as a specific threat of action related to some particular consequence if you're trying to threaten somebody to do something. So for example, if I can't even say the words out loud, I have to be really careful talking about this on TikTok too, because it'll flag me for threatening you if I give an example. But if I say I'm going to do something bad, like punch you in the face, that's a threat because it's a very specific action. I'm going to do this if you don't give me what I want. What was that threat? Who was threatened?
Burning buildings down, over 20 people unalived.
But the people who were burning the buildings down were not.
Oh, they weren't leftists. Oh, they were just right-wing agitators.
No, that's not what I was going to say. That's not what I was going to say at all. I'm saying that I recognize that the protesters were trying to get an outcome that they wanted and they were doing some bad things. I'm just using the type of language that you use and pointing out that there's no direct connection between any particular action happening to some victim and the threat being made by any individual person. So it doesn't
pass the muster for a legal threat. It was a riot. There was bad behavior during the George Floyd riots. They did want something from the government. Ethically, I understand where you're coming from, that they were threatening the government with further rioting. I'm just saying that I know the way that you operate in these calls, and it just doesn't pass legal muster to say that it was like a threat in the legal sense. But I hear what you're saying about that particular example. You're very upset about it. The people who live here in the neighborhood that burned down, which is this neighborhood, by the way, aren't actually all that upset about it. We think it was a win for Minnesota that we got what we wanted in that case. So that's why ethically I'm not all that upset about it.
We got what we wanted, exactly.
Yes, we protested. Some people did some bad things in the course of a protest. When a crowd's that big, the worst 1% of them are some people who are going to do bad things, and that's actually true on both sides. And I don't approve of that sort of thing. I don't like that businesses burned. I don't like that people had to evacuate their homes because they lived near structures that were burning. We're here talking about me. Somebody banned
Yeah, I'm sure you're saying that now. I'm sure you loved it at the time. I guarantee you loved it. You admitted to loving it at the time. I don't know why you're changing your tone now.
I didn't like the unnecessary destruction. I did like the scale of the civil disruption and disobedience and protest.
Yeah, Derek Chauvin shouldn't be in jail at all.
Okay, you're just moving on to another thing, but like why are you bringing up?
That's what it's about. They put him in jail because the jury was afraid, the court was afraid. If we don't do what these mobsters outside want us to do, nobody was going
after the jurors. It was the prosecutor.
Yeah, free Derek Chauvin.
I mean, nobody's personally going after the prosecutor.
There's no middle ground. There's no debate. Fuck you people. One day, I hope not. But
you got it. But you have to tell me something that I actually believe. You can sit here and say that I'm lying to you about what I believe.
There's no more debate. You guys encourage what happened to Kirk. You guys encourage it. You want it. You celebrate it.
Whose live did you just come off of? You're not usually this worked up by the time you get to my show.
Everyone's live. This is the left. I'm giving you a taste of your own medicine. Fuck you and everyone on your side. You're human filth. You're pieces of shit.
But you haven't demonstrated that you even understand what I believe.
I'm not going to say that. I want the live taken down, but...
I mean, you're not doing a good job, dude. I'm surprised you haven't gotten the flag yet. But again, can we talk about things that I believe?
What you believe is filth. Fuck you. What do you mean what you believe?
What is... Okay, I mean...
Abortion, you want all these babies to be on a... You people are disgusting filth.
Do you want to talk about abortion now? Did it upset you enough to have a conversation with me about George Floyd that now you want to talk about...
debate.
Okay, then why did you call in? Just to share with... Oh, no, we go.
Yeah, to call you all...
He got the flag. He got the flag for harassment and bullying. That's RC. RC's having a hard time these days. I think he's usually he holds his own better than that. I think he's running out of ways to try to, it's asking me to remove him even though he's not here. That glitch has been happening lately. We're going to talk to The Stig Has Arrived after I remind everybody that if they want to support the show for free, they can go follow me on the other platforms on my Linktree and my bio. And if you have a dime that you want to spare to support the show, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon so I can quit my job. That's the commercial. The Stig has arrived. Has the Stig arrived? Now he's arrived. How old are you?
Hey, 35.
35. You support Trump? Are you driving a car?
I do not.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter if you're driving a car. Sorry, I am just looking for opposition right now. You can call back in towards the end of the show if we have friendly time. We don't have friendly time every day. But just depends on how the calls work out. Theoden? How old are you?
31.
You support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
I just like his policies. And by the way, why do you have a Somali flag in the back there?
I don't. Courtney sent me $5 on Venmo with a bunch of phallic emojis. Thank you, Courtney. Sorry, what are we talking about?
Do you live in Minnesota?
Yes.
What do you think about the fraud that's been happening here?
Fraud's real bad. I hope we catch every single one of them.
Yeah, but don't you think Tim Walz was a little bit lax?
Nope. I think people like Nick Shirley just declared that he was, when if you actually look at the amount of oversight that he had over that particular fraud investigation, because doesn't happen to be the primary day job of the governor to investigate fraud, but the way that he did interact and investigate with the investigations is a way that I think is reasonable for a governor, including very recently he cooperated with the FBI on getting a bunch of daycares raided with search warrants to investigate that fraud. So yeah, I think he did fine. I think that people like Nick Shirley have baselessly accused him of doing
doing something that he shouldn't have, or not doing something that he should have. And I've not heard any good argument that that's at all true.
I think it was under his watch, so he is somewhat responsible.
Okay, the highest level of unemployment in like a century in America happened during Trump's first term. Is that his fault?
That's different.
Why is that different?
That's a pandemic.
Okay, and this is fraud caused by people who don't work at the government.
Yeah, it's completely different. So,
how is it different?
I think you can compare them.
Yeah, but
one is a pandemic, global, and one is fraud within a state.
Fraud's a global problem. There are even first world developed nations who elect fraudsters as president. We're one of them. Fraud's everywhere.
Hey, would this fraud have happened, though, if we had had a tighter immigration policy and not allowed people that can't assimilate into Minnesota to come here?
The criminality rate of immigrants in Minnesota is very low, even among states, when the criminality rate of immigrants generally is very low. So no, I don't think that would suggest that at all.
What about the demographic of the people that committed the fraud, though? So you're saying that
it's because they're black that you're upset?
No, it's because they're not from our culture.
Okay, why does it matter if a person is from our culture?
I think that's important to have some people that are similar to the residents.
I think we're going to skip over the fact that the ringleader was a white lady. But again, why is culture important to you? Because you were mad about the governor. Couldn't prove to me that the government did anything bad. You're mad about the fraud. I recognize that the fraud is bad, even though you're accusing. Like, we started by you saying that expecting me to say that I support that or something crazy like that. So we have just run out of good reasons to be upset about this, and now we're talking about their culture, which I don't actually think you're concerned about their culture. I think it is because they're black. I think if they were from a country of like white people, I think if there's like a Scandinavian population here in Minneapolis, I think if it was like the Nordics and the Germans who were running this scam, we wouldn't be talking about their race in a discussion about the fraud that was found.
I'd say get them the hell out. I don't care who they are. You care less.
Okay,
all I'm saying is
who are we getting the hell out? Because if a person is a non-citizen and they're committing this sort of fraud, I would agree with you that we should deport them. If they are a citizen, we should just incarcerate them. Do we disagree about that?
No, I think we disagree about who we let in. So if people don't have similar values...
No, you said get them out of here. Are you talking about fraudsters or black people?
It doesn't matter what race they are. It's people who commit fraud.
Okay, then you brought up their culture. So does it matter what their culture is?
Culture is not race. It's different.
That's why I asked separately. I'm accusing you of being racist. I think it is because they're black, but we can talk about the culture. You say the race doesn't matter. You say, what don't you like about Somali culture versus some other culture?
I don't think they have the same values as to respect to the government, respect to the taxpayer.
I think that's an arbitrary and vague thing to say about anybody. Of course, everybody has different values. I think when a person moves to America, it's important that they assimilate in certain ways. They got to get up to speed with what the laws and the tax codes are. They got to follow the rules here. But I don't mind them eating whatever food they want, or speaking whatever language they want, or watching whatever kind of movies they want. Do you agree with me on that? That like them following the laws and stuff and like participating in society in an appropriate way is important. But what they do in their spare time and like what they look and like, the music they listen to, all that stuff, like that doesn't matter. Would you agree with that?
I think it's important to take into account their values of the country they come from.
Okay.
You can't just let anybody
answer my question. Are you happy with an immigrant if they assimilate to the laws and the social norms of the country in such a way that they're not disruptive to society, but continue on eating whatever food they want, speaking whatever language they want, listening to whatever music they want, opening whatever types of businesses they want that maybe people of a similar culture enjoy because they get a little piece of home in their new neighborhood in Minnesota? Like, are you okay with the rest of that?
That depends. Are they committing fraud?
I'm talking I guess what I'm trying to argue is that it is irrespective. If a person is committing fraud, that's bad, and they should get whatever the legal consequences for that are. I'm asking you if it matters the food they eat and the language they speak. Yes or no?
No, that doesn't matter. All that matters is if they're committing fraud.
Okay, if the only thing that matters is whether or not they're committing fraud, how did you feel on the day that Trump was convicted 34 times of committing fraud?
I think that's a fugazi attack on a president to get him out of the office.
So you just don't care about that. Okay, so we're just going to go down this rabbit hole of how you're going to believe without...
Don't change the topic on my Minnesota fraud. We're going back to...
I was literally about to say you were going to baselessly believe that Governor Walz is culpable for the fraud in some way that's inappropriate for governor, but you're not going to believe a jury when they convict the president of fraud.
Do you think Walz is responsible for bringing in more Somalis than a Republican governor would have been?
I don't think that fraudsters are overrepresented among Somalis, so it doesn't matter. It's not relevant.
Whoa. Have you looked at the data? Let's not get all proper here. Let's take a look at the data.
They might be overrepresented among daycare fraud, and you're probably going to show me that there were 89 arrests and most of them, or 90 arrests and 89 of them were Somalis because they're the employees of the daycare in one particular ring that was run where that one extra person was the white lady, and that you're going to say that that's almost 100%, and I'm going to say that that's one example of an investigation, and also that is specific to this one daycare fraud issue as opposed to fraud generally. Are you only concerned with daycare fraud, or is it fraud generally?
I'm concerned with tax people who take money from the state and they don't. Well, again,
I'm going to put it back to Donald Trump because he's doing that a lot more. He, as one individual, is doing that more than all of the Somalis.
I disagree.
You're not very good at math, then. Trump just tried to sue the IRS for $10 billion, and then they threw the case out, or they withdrew from the case, because they have offered a $1.7 billion slush fund to aid people who are associated with Trump, incling potentially people who... Why is he
suing the IRS, do you think?
Because they leaked one of his tax returns or something from a while back.
So there's a good reason.
I don't think that the damages are worth $1 billion. I think that's absurd. They're $10 billion. Yeah, absurd.
The courts will determine what it's worth, but...
Trump gave $10 billion of taxpayer money to his own Board of Peace Fund, which is something that he made up that isn't controlled by Congress, which is supposed to have the power of the purse. That was fraudulent. He used the United States military to invade Venezuela and capture their president. And then he said to their vice president when she became president that we're going to keep bombing and invading you if you don't give us all your oil. He's now selling that oil on a global market for oil that he has inflated the prices of by killing people in Iran. He started a war, and he is sending that money to an offshore account that is also not controlled by Congress, which is supposed to have the power of the purse. I can sit here and list ways that Trump is a fraudster. Any one of these examples is a bigger deal than the fraud that's happening in Minnesota. I'm asking if you're able to even consider that.
I think you're pivoting. I think the Minnesota fraud is a huge problem, and it's the biggest fraud.
Who told you that, dude? Yeah, it's a big scandal. It's not like, I'm not minimizing the fact that like a bunch of state money was used in a way that wasn't appropriate. These daycares overinflated.
Minnesota's a blue state. It's very simple, and you won't admit it. Minnesota has allowed fraud because we are way too lax.
I'm giving you examples of the president that you have called in to defend committing fraud that's at a greater scale than the fraud in Minnesota, when the government here is actively working to investigate the fraud here and incarcerate the people doing it. Why are you not concerned about the president being a fraudster? He's an obvious fraudster. You want another example? He's not allowed to run charities in New York because he started charities in New York and he was caught defrauding them. There's so many examples.
I can't believe any claim against Trump because you guys just want him out of the office, and it's
even if he says it himself, you're not going to believe it. You're just
witch hunt, and he's right on that. You guys have.
You're not going to believe anything I say about Trump. Why are we having a conversation? Why did you call into my show?
But you pivoted to Trump. I'm talking about legit fraud in Minnesota, and you want.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna try your tactic. The fraud's made up. There is no fraud.
Okay. Well, why do you say that?
Because I'm using your tactic, and I'm just going to assert that there isn't fraud and it's made up, and all these court documents about it, they're just a bunch of reds trying to get us blue states caught. I don't believe it.
It's a bad assumption.
I mean, clearly you guys are weaponizing, the justice system against blue states. You guys are really not like taking seriously our claims that we're having violence committed against us. You're just trying to use the legal system against us. So I just don't believe it. I think that it's horseshit.
I just think you guys are ruining Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a great state. The GDP is way less than average for every other state. People are moving out of Minnesota. Minneapolis is a shithole. Crime is up. St. Paul is being driven into the ground. Immigration is too high.
Are you familiar with the Human Development Index? Are you familiar with the Human Development Index?
What is that? No.
The Human Development Index is an internationally recognized standard that quantifies measures of societal well-being, things like education and health and how likely you are to catch a disease and equality between the genders. All that good stuff we're trying to work on in society. Basically, it's a score, 0 to 1, 0 to 100%, that tells you how good it is to live in a place based on those measures. If we rank the 50 states, you can go look this up yourself. Do you know where Minnesota sits on the list?
I don't know, but why are people leaving?
Yeah.
Why is there a net demigration?
Take a guess. Where do we sit on the list?
I don't know. I don't know what that list is. So It's a measure. Like a liberal fucking dream list.
People call it liberal because it proves me right when I say that it doesn't suck here in Minnesota. We're third. The two states that are ahead of us, I think it's Connecticut and Rhode Island. It's two way smaller, way richer states. For a state that has a large rural-urban divide, who represents the values of America by being almost 50-50 split between Democratic and Republican, if you want to move to a place where the quality of life is good, you should move to Minnesota. That is why I live in Minnesota, because I wanted to live in such a place that has nature and that rural-urban divide. You're just declaring it liberal nonsense, even though if you look at the list of countries by HDI, which maybe we'll do quickly just so you can get a sense of what this shows.
I think if it's what you say it is, some sort of paradise for good health and great jobs, and people will be moving here, not leaving.
Okay, I mean, there's other things that affect. There's other things that affect net migration, and I will talk about those in a moment. But we have Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, Australia, Hong Kong. My cat getting in the way of the show, Scout. It's not time for you to shine. Okay, anyway, we don't even actually rank all that badly as a country on here. We're down here and tied with 3 countries for 17th. But if you look at the bottom, in the middle, we get to some more difficult countries here. But if you go to the bottom, it's countries that are falling into civil war and have gang rule. I think, is Haiti still losing, or is it what is it? Or is it the DRC? Let's see. Who's losing? South Sudan. Oh, yeah. Somalia. It does suck in Somalia, according to the HDI, by the way. That's why they move here. Now, if again, you're just going to call it liberal nonsense and refuse to believe it. But that's the empirical evidence that life doesn't suck in Minnesota. You are just wrong about that by any quantitative measure that any sociologist or anthropologist or political scientist or anybody like that would respect.
Again, why are people leaving the state if it's so good? Can you answer that?
Because, there's a lot of reasons that affect interstate migration. One of them is that tax policies.
Why is everybody moving to red states? Why do you think the reason that is?
I'm going to list some of the reasons. There are many reasons, and none of them are monolithic and responsible for all of the interstate travel. So one thing that is problematic with interstate migration right now is because tax policies are more favorable for large growing companies in red states, which, by the way, these are tax policies that benefit companies, not people. People tend to move to where the companies are hiring, and it would be better if all the states just had tax policies that were better for people instead of corporations. So yeah, unsurprisingly, the rich people at the top are chasing the money and dragging a lot of people with them. But you can also look at the socioeconomic effects of any country. Sorry, my cat's being so social today. Lost my train of thought. What was the example I just gave? I was talking about people moving to follow the companies.
You're way overcomplicating it. It's because taxes are too high in Minnesota. And you don't get the bang for your buck in Minnesota.
You do. The HDI shows that you do. It's places where among states or countries, if you look at the HDI, it's places where the taxes are higher that get a better HDI. And HDI is a pretty solid measure. It's the only monolithic measure that we have of how good a shot you have if you just happen to be born in a place.
Do you have a job? Do you pay taxes?
Yeah, this is my job. Thanks everybody for the donations. Link tree in the bio.
Minnesota state taxes are way too high. So for your chat who's yapping,
we have 10,000 lakes to take care of. There's lots of things that we do with that taxpayer money that people who live here are really excited about because they are reasons that yield our really impressive HDI. So again, you're just going to argue for lower taxes. And obviously I'm going to sit here and say we do such good things with the taxes that it's worth paying them. That's the classic Republican versus Democrat debate. But again, you just completely slid past the fact that you called in concerned about fraud in Minnesota when there's fraud in the fucking White House. And we're working on the fraud in Minnesota. It's a scandal. We're dealing with it.
Well, Walz is in trouble. He's got...
Is that a respond to anything I just said?
I'm not going to pivot to Trump and all your fraud claims because...
I was actually just going back to that. That's where we started. But again, you're making accusations about it being terrible in Minnesota. What is your source for that? I live here, so I have a personal opinion about it.
Minnesota. I'm thinking about moving. I love Minnesota. I love the outdoors.
Where do you live in Minnesota?
I live in the Twin Cities.
Okay, so we're neighbors. So yeah,
yeah. But I live in the suburbs, and I want nothing to do with Minneapolis.
Okay.
I want to get out of here. I like the outdoors of Minnesota, but
me too.
The taxes are high. I have a good job. I make good money, and there's no point to me live here. There's no benefit to me paying 8% of my income to Minnesota.
Okay, so we live in roughly the same place.
I live in Minneapolis proper. I live in Whittier. That's public information. I'm not doxing myself. I'm a real close neighbor of Alex Preddy's. So we have differing opinions about Minnesota. So it sounds like we need some external source to see which of us is actually right about general public sentiment about that. And the quality of life here is good. The data suggests that you're wrong. Do you have a source to the contrary? Because I brought a source. I brought up HDI. Do you have something that suggests otherwise about our shared neck of the woods? Or is it just your feelings? I said I have my own feelings, but I sidestepped them because they're just mine. They're not that I like it here, but that's just my own opinion. One guy. I recognize the opinion of everybody, the quality of life of everybody, and that's what the HDI
data is what I'm feeling with my life and my taxes and my.
So you don't. I think
a lot of people are in my boat, right?
So wait, so you don't vote for policies that are good for everybody?
I vote to mostly about what benefits me.
What if your life circumstances change, and you become like a different person who the law doesn't affect favorably?
I think you vote for yourself too. I think everybody votes for their best interests.
I vote for myself in recognition of the fact that I might become a very different person over the remaining decades I hope that I have. So if I'm in a position that's going to benefit from a particular law, I'm not going to vote for it if most people don't benefit from it, because something could happen in my life that makes me like those people. I think you probably have enough money to not be concerned about the lack of social safety nets, and I think that your tone would change if somebody in your family got cancer and you got bankrupted by it or something like that happened.
No, I don't need the government for anything. I don't
right now. What if your family dies in a fire and you get third-degree burns and you can't work? Are you not going to get disability or unemployment? Answer the question. Yes, it is a social program to give people unemployment and disability. If your family dies in a fire, so you have nobody to turn to, and you get third-degree burns and you can no longer work, yes or no, are you going to sign up for unemployment and disability?
What is this fringe scenario you're giving me here?
It's a situation where your life circumstances change in such a way that you would be fucked over by not voting for laws that would protect the people that you just became.
What percentage of our tax dollars is going to that scenario? Do you know?
Well, not enough, because I think that healthcare should be free for everybody and paid for by the taxpayer. So like in my example, that's not even really happening yet. But I mean, I don't know what the percentage goes into unemployment and disability, but we could look it up. But again,
I just think that when you're paying a lot in taxes and then you hear about this fraud, for instance,
it's not very much. Those aren't very expensive programs, by the way. They're just like not.
There's a lot of social programs in Minnesota that are outrageous.
You're not really engaging. You're not really engaging with my hypothetical. You do recognize that your life circumstances could change, right?
Oh, I understand that, but I'm willing to take that risk and live a tax-free life.
Why are you?
For me, I would rather.
So even if that risk on average is bad for the average person, you still are willing to take that risk. Do you buy car insurance?
Yeah, I buy car insurance. What does that have to do with taxes?
Because what we're doing with car insurance is everybody pays into car insurance, and and that wealth gets distributed by the insurer to protect people who have very costly accidents. So the unlikely event, you get to sleep at night not worrying about the unlikely event of your car being totaled because it's insured. So that's kind of what happens with taxation, where you're just so confident that your life is going to be awesome that you'd be so principled that you'd just take it on the chin if literally your family died in a fire and you got third-degree burns and couldn't work for the rest of your life. You think that you would just be like, oh man, what a bad roll of the dice. I guess it's okay that the government's going to fuck me over, because if this hadn't happened to me, I'd be living so free. I'm saying I think that whole premise is nonsense. You're a libertarian, right?
Yeah. I would say I'm more libertarian.
What is going on with the libertarians? My goodness. So many libertarians calling into my show. I think it's because a lot of the other debate hosts don't engage with libertarians. But yeah, you just don't. You just think you're going to be lucky. It's privilege. I levy that accusation. It reeks of privilege. I don't think you'd think this way if you accurately weighed the possibility of your life not working out the way that you think it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's called life. The government is not something that...
It doesn't have to be, though. Like, we're talking about systems that would quell that natural unfairness that we were all born on Earth as, like, hairless apes that figured out how to make nukes. Like, we have this unfairness problem, and we're just talking about ways to fix it. And you're like, nah, life should be unfair, because I'm probably going to win. And I think that reeks of privilege.
No, that just reeks of freedom. I think my freedoms are much more important than a government's telling me what I cannot do. And then also... does the insurance company mention, does that have $700 billion in fraud that happens?
The $700 billion in fraud, that's an enormous number.
That's what happened in the Minnesota government. But I'm just saying the government is a very poorly run
My argument is that the average freedom of an individual person is increased by these social programs for the reasons I just described, and you're mad that you have to pay for car insurance even though you didn't get into a car accident. That's basically your argument. I should be free to not pay for car insurance. Fuck me if I get in an accident. And that's what I'm saying about the government and tax paying and social programs, and that's why I don't take libertarians seriously. You're a bunch of selfish, privileged assholes. You have to be a selfish, privileged asshole to have your position. Absolutely.
No, I think my freedoms are worth much more than.
Do you struggle to eat for? Do you struggle? When was the last time you struggled to pay a bill or buy groceries?
Never, because I work hard.
Then you're privileged.
No, I just work.
There's no linear relationship between work and avoiding the situation I just described. You're privileged if you think there is.
Nope, I just work hard, so I'm not worried ever about
I work very hard on this show, but it was completely luck that turned me into a person that's good at this. The fact that I ended up randomly in a theater when I was a teenager to like work on my public speaking skills with somebody, I did a bunch of acting lessons and became the teacher in that program, and then I did so well in that program that they hired me to teach public speaking to science students, which I was qualified for as an unqualified teacher. I was like an unproven teacher at the theater, but I was able to do it because it was a science program. We were teaching public speaking to scientists, and I happened to go to a really dorky STEM school because of my privilege, because I was born in New York and I just grew up there in the public education system, which is a better education system than most of the private education systems elsewhere in the country. All that luck added up to me being a person who, in combination with my hard work, was able to be successful at what I'm doing right now. I recognize that as privilege, and you have not analyzed your own life and realized that there's a lot that happened to you that made you a person who's able to benefit from your hard work, and that is privilege. You don't recognize that, and that's why you're a libertarian. If you did recognize
life is not fair, okay? I work hard to be privileged, and then I work hard to give my children.
Right. Life isn't fair by default. We are trying to fix that and make it more fair. And because you happen to be one of the lucky ones, you are saying you don't want that to happen. That's selfish.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. I want myself and me only to be in control of my destiny and my family's future.
But you are more in control of your family's you are more in control of your family's destiny if your family's destiny is protected from catastrophe by social safety nets. You recognize that, right?
Big Uncle Sam, you're saying, is just, he's going to provide everything for me. Any problems I have.
I want Uncle Sam to rescue you if your family gets in trouble. If something really catastrophic and bad, you know, if an act of God happens, if there's a fire or, you know, a cancer died, whatever horrible thing might happen in your life, that's so unfair that nature works that way, that we as a civilized society should try to develop systems that work against the grain of nature to make life more fair for people. Why the fuck don't you want that?
I don't think it's worth the transaction of giving away my freedom and my tax money. That's what I think. So it's not that risk.
And why do you pay for car insurance?
Because I have to.
So you wouldn't buy car insurance if the government didn't make you, which, by the way, an aside, there should be a single payer option for auto insurance because it is unfair that the government forces us to buy insurance from private, commercially minded entities. That's a whole separate thing. But again, you're saying that you wouldn't buy car insurance if you didn't have to, right?
I don't know. That has nothing to do with that. That's my own choice. That's not the government.
We're talking about buying insurance for society by paying taxes. That's the analogy. It's a good analogy. I'm willing to defend it. I think that you're unwilling to see it because it so obviously puts a spotlight on the ways in which you're misguided and selfish about all this.
It's not selfish, man. It's like I can move states and save $30,000.
Not if your family dies in a fire and you get third-degree burns and can't drive a car anymore.
Minnesota any different than Florida, though? What I'm saying here is, why do I pay more?
Minnesota's pretty different from Florida. There's loads of benefit.
I can move there and save $30,000.
Even if you're not the person who benefits of the social safety nets, the people who do benefit from those social safety nets have such a higher likelihood of going back to being productive members of society and helping pay taxes and pave the roads and all that stuff, that even if you never get into an accident, the little bit of taxpayer money, because these are like very inexpensive programs we're talking about, like the social safety nets aren't actually that expensive. That little bit of money that you pay in gives you a society in which you then get to be more free. It's a net benefit to your freedom to pay taxes. You just don't care because you're so closed-minded and you have such a small worldview.
People are saying I'm selfish. I'm not selfish. I'm smart.
You're obviously selfish.
Pay money. And you guys all probably sit at home and don't work.
No, the smart thing to do is to have a broader worldview of this and recognize that there's a net benefit to your freedom if you pay more taxes. That's the smart way to look at it.
Or opposite. These people yapping in your chat probably are all unemployed, sitting at home, and they want me to continue paying my tax money so they can sit at home and probably get food stamps. Probably get free childcare. Probably get all this free shit. Well, I'm working my ass off. I can move to Florida, which a lot of, by the way, people who make money are leaving. So it's a big problem for blue states.
Oh my God, are the retirees moving to Florida? I guess we should elect a rapist president, dude. You're floundering. You're not making arguments about any of the things I'm saying.
No, I'm saying if you make money, why stay here? There's no point. You guys can all live in your liberal utopia where nobody pays taxes, and then all the rich people will leave, and then nobody will be paying any taxes, and you won't have any money.
You're just making shit up, dude. What are you even talking about?
I'm saying if you tax the hell out of people, they will leave to a different state where they don't pay taxes. And this index you gave me, I don't give a fuck.
Let them move to a place that's going to be worse for their quality of life. Like, you do realize that it's people in blue states, it's the taxes of blue states that are,
but I get an extra 40 grand. Boy, that sounds nice. I'll take that 40 G's.
Yeah, you're a selfish asshole. Fuck 40 G's. I want kids to
selfish?
eat.
That's looking out for myself. You guys are all selfish for wanting my money. That's a selfish piece of shit.
I'd rather feed some kids to make society better for everybody on average.
My money. No, I work for it though. It's mine.
Everybody works hard.
You can't have any.
You don't think somebody who does long shifts doing manual labor that doesn't pay well, you don't think that they work harder than you?
No, we all work hard. It's their money. I don't want to take any of it. I don't want your money. I don't want Bill Gates' money. I don't want anybody's fucking money. I want my own money.
Do you use the roads?
That's different. Okay, there are some taxes that are needed.
Oh, that's different.
About social programs.
Yeah, the social programs help you. If we look at the data, all the things you care about in your life, yes, they do.
What social program am I using right now?
You're using the social program that helps people who are starving eat, so they don't rob you at gunpoint.
No, that is
people will rob you at gunpoint if they can't eat, and the people in your community who would otherwise be robbing you at gunpoint because they're starving are on food stamps that you pay for. And you benefit from that because those hungry people don't rob you at gunpoint. Because if a person misses about 9 meals, the society we live in is 9 meals away from anarchy. If somebody doesn't have food, they will murder a person for a hamburger.
So you're telling me I pay taxes so I don't get murdered by a homeless guy hungry?
Yeah. It helps. I mean, you changed my example to further villainize the person doing it. Because I'm not just talking about disheveled looking, dirty face like homeless people. Like, I know you have to paint a really ugly picture to get it, but no, you would start killing people if I took your food away.
Now I would go get a job and feed myself.
No. This is a situation where nobody's giving you a job. You're 5 days into looking for a job and nobody's giving you any money or a job. You just figure it out? No, dude. You don't know what it's like to struggle. You're demonstrating your privilege on my show. And like, I don't even.
Privilege. It's hard work. Sorry. Not the same.
You don't think that poor people are working hard?
I think people are taking advantage of the system, and it's a big problem.
You're just moving on to other shit. Like you do realize that food stamps prevent hungry people from committing violent crimes because people commit violent crimes when they're hungry. Like, that's the whole point of the program, is that we don't want people to be suffering in such a way that they're a drain on society by however it might be. By never, kids who are hungry, these people have children, by the way. So you're talking about taking away food from the children. Those kids learn better when they go to school if they have full bellies. They do better. You're just against all that. You're unwilling to even consider the possibility that it affects the quality of your life, how well other people are doing, because you're so short-sighted that all you can think is, that's my money, don't take it, which just isn't a very nuanced argument.
No.
Especially when you admit that the roads are different. How are the roads different than that?
How are the roads different? What are you talking about here?
You said, I asked you if you use the roads because the taxpayers pay for the roads. We stole your money, right? And we used it to pave roads. Do you use the roads?
Does Florida pay income tax, and do they have roads? Who pays for those roads?
I don't know how it works. I mean, they have sales taxes, other systems of taxation.
So they do. Yeah, they have people come and visit Florida.
You live in Minnesota, you live in Minnesota, right?
I'm saying, why don't I move to Florida? They have roads there, and I don't pay for them.
When you move to Florida, are you going to use the roads to get there?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that that's immoral of you? You're benefiting from a system that you say is corrupt and stealing people's money.
No, I think there should be some taxes. I'm just saying Minnesota's are too high.
How do you determine which taxes we should have and which ones we shouldn't have?
All social programs should be deleted. Social Security, everything should be gone. Social Security is the biggest scam and the worst program ever created on Earth. It's a bankrupt program.
You're not engaging with the points I'm bringing up, so I'm going to kick you because it's just not. You can assert that, but I'm literally saying that even if you're selfish, which I think is bad, even if you think you're selfish,
it's not selfish, man. It's you guys are all selfish for wanting my money. Don't spin me as selfish. It's my money. I'm working for it. Why?
All right, theoden. I hope he gets cancer so that he can see that he's wrong. And I mean that. el.chico.tech.edu. Welcome back up, buddy. What are we talking about today?
What's up, man?
You're 27, right?
40, but it's okay.
You're 40? I thought you were 30.
Nah, 40, man.
Oh my God, really?
I mean, you talk to a lot of people, so I could understand why you'd be confused, but I mean, I'm 40.
No, the reason I'm surprised it's that old is because I've talked to you a lot. What are we talking about today?
Well, I mean, I think you got kind of owned on the previous topic. So, I mean, I understand you don't want to talk about that anymore. But
I didn't want to talk with him because he wasn't engaging with my arguments. He was just asserting that taxation is theft and not offering any arguments. And it's not great for the show.
But I mean, he did have a good point in regards to the fraud.
No, he didn't.
So 14.6 million in false claims is not an issue.
I don't know where that number comes from, but I have 6 or 10 times on this show today literally said that yes, it is a problem, it's bad, and we should incarcerate the people who did it.
Yeah, the DOJ released this in June 2025. So during Trump's first administration, you guys were talking about there's no significant fraud, blah, blah, blah. That's a lot. 14.6 billion in fraud.
Okay, again, you need sources for these big numbers.
I just gave it to you. The DOJ with their investigations.
Did
96 doctors.
The DOJ with their investigations, 96 doctors. Yeah. Okay, what do we
doctors.
What is when you say a number when you say a number like $14.6 billion, I need to know exactly what that number means. Is that like Trump, for example, took $10 billion of taxpayer money and gave it to himself through his Board of Peace Fund, which he made up and Congress doesn't have control over, which they're supposed to according to the Constitution if we're talking about taxpayer money because they have the power of the purse.
Where's that money come from?
The taxpayer, from the Treasury, I guess, like from the federal budget.
I'm pretty sure that money is not taxpayer money. That's why he's able to control it.
Then where the fuck did it come from? You're just making that up.
Tariffs?
No.
That's why they're...
No, they've been ordered to pay the tariffs back. You'd be wrong even if that was the case, but they've been ordered to pay the tariffs back by the Supreme Court. So it's no. But again, you're just making up solutions. My point is, when I bring up... All I was trying to say is that when I bring up a number like 10 billion, I do know what is going on with that 10 million. It's given to the Board of Peace Fund as our entry fee. There's this whole thing about that and how that's not acceptable for the president to do because it's Congress's job to decide how money gets allocated for those sorts of things. So that's really bad. When you bring me this number, 14 point something billion, what is that number? What is the program? Who is it given to? What are you talking about?
Oh, so it was 96 doctors in 12 different states. So they're doing false claims on insurance. So pretty much Medicare, Medicaid.
Okay, yeah, that's a big number. It sounds like those people should be in jail. That sounds real bad. So I'm just going to do some math really quick, which is that if I take $14 billion, how many zeros is that? That's 9 zeros. Okay, 14 with 9 zeros after that, that's 14 billion. And you said it was 96 doctors who were doing it?
324 defendants, including 96 doctors. So 300, I would just say 324 people.
Okay, so we're going to divide it by 324. So it sounds to me like there were a few hundred fraudsters, each of which if what you're telling me is the truth, because I don't even know what you're talking about, but if that's the truth, we have 300 fraudsters that each defrauded about $43 million, which is a lot. That is an enormous amount of fraud. That's really, really bad. I don't even know what you're talking about, but that sounds really bad. But the example that I gave was Trump defrauding the taxpayer of $10 billion.
How is Trump defrauding the taxpayers $10 billion?
I just explained it because he gave $10 billion of the United States government's money to his Board of Peace Fund, which is an unregulated personal project of his that Congress has no say over. Okay. Somebody's asking me to play a G chord. I don't know why. My guitar's not very tuned. I'll play it on the piano. I don't know why you wanted to hear a G chord, but there's a G chord.
So sticking to the topic here, there's already been an investigation. There are investigations. People are going to jail. Why would you continue to promote a program that is clearly easy to conduct fraud within the system?
Sorry, I was distracted by something. Say that again.
So why would you continue to support a system where it's already been proven it's easy to defraud?
I need you to answer my concern about your example being like a bunch of people committing smaller fraud when the president's doing really big fraud.
I mean, fraud is fraud, right? So why would you continue to push a program?
I think that the president being a fraudster is a bigger deal than any of those people.
Okay, but we're not talking about the president right now. We're talking about
yes, we are
fraudulent programs.
The whole lives about that. Oh no, it's political. We're talking about Trump. We're talking about what's going on in American politics right now. That fraud's bad. Should be investigated.
Okay, it's already been investigated and people got caught. So why would you promote it?
Sounds like it's a done deal. So what's your point?
So why would you continue to promote a program that is fraudulent?
That's what you're doing by supporting Trump. Big fraud, big problem. If we're going to talk about the fraudulent program, it's the Trump administration.
So how is it fraud? You're saying it's fraud, but how is it fraudulent?
I gave you investigated
for it.
I gave you one example of something very fraudulent that he did, and the problem is that
how
Trump
is it fraudulent? Just because you say it's fraudulent doesn't mean
because according to the Constitution, Congress is the branch of the government that is supposed to have the power over how money gets spent and allocated, and Trump works in the executive branch, and it is the job of Congress to do the money instead of the executive branch to divide their powers so that the president isn't too powerful, because the Constitution was written by people who didn't want people to be able to do things like give themselves $10 billion of taxpayer money. So that's Congress's job. Trump went around that rule, so it's fraudulent and illegal. Unconstitutional.
If it's so fraudulent and illegal and unconstitutional, why haven't they impeached him?
Because dude, you and I have been through this on every single topic that we've done. Not in this call. I'm saying in general. You've called into my show so many times, and every single time I describe to you something bad that Trump has done, you say the same thing, which is why he hasn't been impeached. And I have to remind you, it's because the Republicans in Congress vote in favor of the president instead of the Constitution, because they are also traitors. That is the whole problem. That is the whole issue of what's going on in America right now.
But Democrats are not.
The Democrats do vote to impeach him. They do vote on the things that are constitutional. It's the Republicans who are voting in a way that's also unconstitutional. The checks and balances aren't working. That's the whole issue.
Well, that's the purpose of having checks and balances, so one party doesn't destroy the other party, or one branch doesn't destroy the other branch.
Yes.
So that's why we have
those checks and balances aren't working.
They're working because apparently it's not fraudulent, because it's a 50-50 split.
Trump could send a man
because you say
by your reasoning, Trump could send the military to come unalive you, and then if Congress refused to impeach him for it, it would then just, according to your reasoning, be okay, right?
I'm pretty sure that's an impeachable offense.
We shouldn't try to.
Well, no, it's not, because guess what? Remember when Obama ended American citizen when a drone attack?
I'm not talking about Obama, dude. I'm saying that if you.
But I'm telling you.
No, slow down. I'm not interested in another example. I'm interested in you addressing the problem.
Because it defeats your purpose.
Listen, my purpose is to explain to you that if you trust that he's going to be impeached and you just declare anything that he hasn't been impeached for okay, that gives him the freedom to do anything he wants, and as long as he's not impeached for it, you're going to be okay with it. And I'm saying that we have a majority in the House and the Senate who are loyal to him in a way that's unconstitutional, which means he gets to do whatever he wants, like, give himself $10 billion of taxpayer money.
So if a president unalives an American citizen in a drone attack, is that an impeachable offense?
Maybe. I'm critical of Obama. Dude, I've been through this with you so many times before that Trump does something.
It's your hypocrisy. It's just you don't like.
Trump does something.
Trump for your hypocrisy.
No, I admit that Biden and Obama both have constitutional blunders that are serious, and I wish had been given more attention. Why are we talking about that when Trump does something that unconstitutional once or twice a week? Because if you're at all concerned about that, you should be much more concerned about the current president who's doing stuff like that a lot more.
Because you don't care. You only care is because the only reason why you care is because it's just Donald J. Trump. If it was somebody else, you would not have a show.
I just explained why it's different. He's doing it once or twice a week instead of once or twice per presidency. That's a big difference.
Once or twice per presidency? I think once or twice is enough for you to actually make a show, which you never did.
Oh, so why aren't you? Wait, if you think if the president doing it once or twice is worth making a show, why are you not making a show about Trump doing it once or twice a week?
Because at this point, it doesn't really matter. Like, he's the president. He's conducting his policy as he sees fit based on the votes of the American people. Could you say that about Obama or Biden? Could they do whatever they want? Well, they did.
No, they didn't.
They did whatever they wanted.
No, they didn't.
They didn't?
No, there's a bunch of stuff they weren't able to accomplish because Congress or the Supreme Court shot them down. Which, I mean, it happens to Trump from time to time, but there's so much illegal stuff that he's getting away with because there's so many of these unconstitutional stories.
Just because you call it illegal doesn't make it illegal.
I call it illegal because I call it illegal for sound reasons that have to do with what the laws in this country are, what it says in the Constitution. You're just saying it's not illegal because he's the president. Do you think the president is above the law?
Well, the president is the law.
No.
Yeah, he is. What's the executive's branch duty?
And to act on the law.
Yeah, enforce the law. Yeah. So he's the main enforcer of the law.
Who makes the laws?
Congress.
Okay. So in a local town, the sheriff is the enforcer of the law, right?
Well, I mean, local municipalities are
whatever the locality is within a locality.
So you either have the mayor or the governor.
Are those people above the law?
The mayor or anyone in the executive branch?
Yeah.
Well, once they investigate and they found that it's fraudulent, no, of course they get prosecuted.
No, you're just saying that these people get to violate the law. Why? They don't make the laws, they execute them. If they're not executing them, if they're violating them, why is that okay?
Don't they have the same procedures of removing an individual who violates the laws?
It's circular, dude. I'm saying that those systems aren't working, and that's why the president is able to do so many illegal things. Well, the things he's doing are obviously illegal if you understand, like...
So with the fraudulent in Minnesota, you think Tim Walz should be impeached or removed from office?
No, because nobody has demonstrated to me that he's done anything illegal.
So letting people defraud the state is okay.
Show me where he let that happen, because letting something happen means that you were aware of it and you had the power to stop it, and you didn't. When did that happen?
So he's incompetent and he's not doing his job, and he's not really...
You can argue that he's incompetent and say that he shouldn't be reelected. Dude, slow down. Listen, that's a different argument. Culpable and negligent are different. You can be so negligent that you're culpable. That's a little complicated. But you still need to make an argument that he was negligent enough. If nobody informed him, do you think, like literally nobody walked up to him and said, "Hey, Mr. Walz, there's fraud happening." If that didn't happen, do you think it's his responsibility to walk into every single business in the state and make sure that they're not being fraudulent?
You know, it's his government, his state individuals who work underneath him supposed to be reporting numbers to him, right?
Right. So it sounds like maybe they made the mistake, but I'm asking you.
So he's not a good leader, pretty much.
You can argue that. I don't think it's like, I think it's an opinion whether or not he's a good or bad leader. I think he's a decent leader. I think it's a shame that they didn't catch the fraudsters earlier. It's just not, day-to-day fraud investigations are just not the job of the governor. And when he was made aware, you're right. And when he was made aware of it, when he was made aware of it, he took steps to crack down on it and get it enforced better. So again, you're talking about stuff that you cannot prove Walz doing when Trump is literally a convicted fraudster.
A convicted fraudster.
34 felony counts for a type of fraud. Yes.
Okay. What fraud was that?
Falsifying business documents in furtherance of other crimes.
Of what other crimes?
Did I say 43 instead of 34? It's 34.
Yeah, you got 34.
Yeah. Thank you, chat. There are a bunch of different ones, so I can give you an example, which is that if, dude, I honestly even think I've told you this before. Maybe I'm just mixing you up with somebody else, but I just feel like you just never remember our conversations. Here's an example. If you want a bank loan and you have a big property, do you understand the idea of like getting collateral from a bank for a loan? Like you have to have something valuable for the bank to loan you money, so that if you default on the loan, they'll take the property. Do you understand that?
Okay, so all right, so hold on, pause there. All right, so it's a situation between a bank and the borrower, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to explain one example of the types of things.
We're walking through it.
Okay,
so
okay.
Between the bank and the borrower.
I'm going to be
lender and the borrower, yes?
Yeah, yes. I'm going to be...
So if I say as a borrower, hey, my property is worth $200,000. Mm-hmm. But the bank comes back and says, no, it's worth $100,000.
The bank gets to tell you, because they're a private entity that gets to protect their own interests. They're allowed to decide how valuable the property is to them. If they're wrong and they overvalue it or undervalue it, that's on them. That's fine. They can call.
Where in Trump's case did the bank argue that Trump overvalued the property? The bank said, hey, we agreed what it was valued with. So I don't understand why we're.
What Trump did is he created documents that misreported on the important values and figures and data about the property, things like square footage and rentable space and stuff like that. He lied about the size of the properties.
How did he lie?
By lying about how much square footage these properties had, in one example.
And who decided that was a lie?
The court.
The court. So is the court the lender?
No, the court is the arbiter of truth. They decide whether or not Trump lied to the bank.
Did the lender complain?
It doesn't matter to the law.
It does matter. It does matter.
No, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a moment.
Matter.
I'm gonna take a moment to thank Andrea for sending me $4. She said Trump stole from a children's cancer charity. He recently had to fill out Form 278T that states BT Jan and Mar of 2026. Trump bought and sold 3,600 stocks, all dealing with companies he's directly influencing their stock prices, like Oracle and Palantir. Great job. It's cutting off the rest of the message. I'm trying to read it, but thank you so much, Andrea. I really, really appreciate you supporting the show. And yeah, Trump did that. He's done it just came out the other day that he has done an insane amount of insider trading regarding the companies that are affected by his policy. That's like a whole other scandal. But again, it is illegal to do what he did. You recognize that, right?
Okay, let me ask you this question. Did the bank pursue charges?
Yes or no? Was it illegal what Trump did?
No, it wasn't illegal because it's between the bank and the the borrower.
That's not how the law works. That's not how the law works. It is still
what do you mean?
It is still a crime. It is still a crime to try to get those loans by falsifying business records.
So what you're saying, based on your legal theory, is that a judge could say at any given moment what a property is worth based on his own opinion. And that's what the judge.
It's not his opinion that the property is
his opinion.
No, listen, because it's not your opinion how much square footage a building has. So if I tell you a number that's wrong on purpose, it's not my opinion that the building is bigger than it is.
So what proof was presented that Donald Trump lied about the square footage and the value of his property?
Enough for him to be convicted 34 times for that crime and other ones like it. Like why are you so scrutinizing the fact that this literally already went through court? They went and measured the buildings to check if he was lying about the square footage, and he was.
Who's they?
I'm just gonna make it up. I'm gonna say his name was Bob. He was a fat bald dude with a clipboard. What does it fucking matter, dude? Like.
Because it does matter. Because you know what?
It matters that Bob was bald and he had a clipboard when he went and measured the square footage?
If a judge could say, hey, you know what? I know you're trying to get a loan, but you overinflated your value of your home, and guess what? Because I don't like you based on your political views.
No. It's not. You're just. I'm not going to let you finish your bullshit.
Why?
You're just
because
inserting.
It's the truth.
You're just accusing the judges of doing it because of his political party, when the reason they did it is because what he did was illegal. I don't believe you're being. Illegal. Most of the time, el.chico.tech.edu, I think that you are incompetent at functioning in these conversations, and you're being genuine and trying. I think you're being really disingenuous right now. I just don't.
Because I have property, and I'm afraid that a judge could say what my property is worth. If
you don't lie about what your property is worth to the bank to get a loan that you're undeserving of, then you're fine.
Who's the judge to say if I'm lying? Is
somebody with a tape measure? Somebody with a tape measure is to say if you're lying, if you lie about the square footage of your property.
But Trump submitted a packet based on all the information in regards to the property to the lender, and the lender gave him the money. And he paid it back. So where's the fraud, or where are the lies?
It's still criminal for him to have lied to get the loan in the first place.
No, it's not. You're just saying it's criminal based on the judge's perception of, hey, you overinflated your house.
All right, there's no talking to you. Like, there's nothing I could tell you about how this was investigated would convince you that he did any wrong. You're saying the judge is using his politics to go after him. I'm accusing you of using his politics to defend him, because I don't think he would.
Judges not biased?
Judges can be. Everybody has bias. Every human being has bias.
So why would a judge inject himself on how a home is valued?
If it's the case that's brought before them, judges don't choose their cases.
Once again, where is the position of a judge to say, hey, you know what? I don't agree with your evaluation of your
The judge didn't
property.
insert himself into anything.
He
The judge presided over the case, and in the case, the jury found him guilty. What are you not understanding about this?
Well, they found him guilty on 34 counts of fraudulent checks and ledgers, but I mean,
the chat's talking about Stormy Daniels. The square footage thing is just one example. It was 34 different types of crimes that were all had to do with falsifying business documents. But again, there's nothing I could tell you that would convince you that he did anything wrong. You're in a cult.
No, he didn't, because it was lawfare. I mean, come on. If you don't think that everything that went against Donald Trump during his presidency, during the election, you're brainwashed, essentially.
You're calling me brainwashed, but yeah. I'm willing to look at what
because
actually happens.
You don't sit there and look like, oh wow, they're going after Donald Trump for all these things, and then you don't think like, well, and it has to do with the fact that you don't own anything. And
I don't own anything. What?
Do you own
talking
property?
About?
Do you own property?
No.
Okay, so there you go. So you don't understand what it means to own a property. So when a judge.
So you think that means I'm wrong about? Yeah, I own a car. And if I sold the car to somebody and I lied to them about how valuable it was, that would be fraud. If I got a loan against the car using the car as collateral and I said it was a nicer car than it was, that would be fraud. Even if I successfully got the loan and paid it back, still fraud, because I introduced risk that they were not they would not otherwise allow if I hadn't lied to them. Yes, it is fraudulent.
The bank takes risk.
But they're supposed to do it on purpose. They're doing it not on purpose. If I fraudulently lie to them about how valuable the car is before I get a loan against it,
doesn't a lender do its due diligence and verify your value?
Dude, just because of the person, whether or not the fraud works in this case, it's still attempted fraud, right? It sounds like he was successful in a lot of the cases. It gets a little muddied about whether or not he successfully did the crime that he was trying to do by falsifying the business records. That wasn't the case in all of them. But again, it doesn't matter if the bank is foolish if what I did was illegal. You're victim blaming.
Once again, if a lender does its due diligence and say, hey, you know what? I agree with you. Your value of your property is X, and I'll lend you the money. Where is the crime?
The crime is still lying about the value of the property. It doesn't change. If you're successful and you get away with the crime, it's still crime.
So when a tax recorder tells me my property is worth $200,000, I say, no. You raised my value of my house so you could tax me more. You're conducting fraud. Go ahead and lower back to $100,000.
Yeah, you could sue them for that, and then
you think I'm going to win?
If you were able to provide evidence to the court that they lied about the nature and value of your property, then yes, they would win, and that is what happened 34 times to Trump, something like that, because it wasn't all about property.
No, they're all 34 were on checks and ledgers. That's what they convicted him on for writing a bad check and writing a bad ledger.
Yeah,
falsifying documents.
Falsified ledgers about the property that he used to get bank loans. That's exactly what we're talking about.
No, those were 34 different checks and supposedly payments or some shit like that.
You're just making up details to get out of this.
No, it's not. If you look up the 34 counts, you will read what those 34 counts were for. Do you know exactly what they were for?
I don't have all 34 of them memorized. Is that
they're
what's
all
going
the
to give
same,
you?
dude? All 34, all the same.
They're not. The charge is the same. The charge is the same. Dude, stop barking at me to look them up. The charge is the same for all 34 of them, falsifying business documents. But the exact circumstances of what those documents were for is different for each of those.
No, they're all the same. They're all the same.
Bunch of them are similar. What does it matter? They're still fraud. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I'm telling you, it was a hit job. And yet you still don't understand that. And actually, the original charges were 96 of them.
I'm running out of ways to explain this to you, so I'm just going to invite Diava and Raven up to see what they have to say. Hello, friends.
Well, hi. I just wanted to say that. Oh, so sorry. I'm so sorry, Raven. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you go. No, you go first.
No, I was just going to say, if he wants to be specific, I got you. It was 11 counts of falsified invoices from Michael Cohen submitted to the Trump Organization in 2017, 11 counts of falsified ledger entries in the Trump Organization's books, and 12 counts of falsified checks and check stubs used to reimburse Michael Cohen. That's for the 34 felonies. What you're talking about, el.chico, as far as the fraud claims that you guys were talking about of square footage and all of that, That case derived specifically from Michael Cohen's testimony when he went in Congress, and he told them that Trump was cooking the books, that he was inflating his assets to get loans and he was deflating his assets to pay taxes. So what the state of New York found was that he was defrauding the citizens of New York out of tax dollars. That's what the crime is. Oscar is also correct. Falsifying applications is fraud, but it's so far beyond that. He actually defrauded the citizens of New York out of their taxpayer dollars by deflating his assets to file taxes. And
you know you can do that, right?
You can't say that you have a 33,000 square foot penthouse and it's only 10,000 square feet. That's fraud. That was one count of fraud right there to up the square footage, because that's not true. So we're not talking about value. We're not saying a judge said it should be 18 million and a property appraiser said it should be 10 million and Trump said it should be 30 million. That's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about square footage that cannot be denied. There are plans, there are recorded plots, there are recorded deeds and stuff with the state where these houses are. So you're just categorically wrong, which I know he's gone round and round with you, and you're trying to spin yourself into a fucking pretzel to try to figure out how to spin this to make it look like Donald Trump is innocent, but he is not. And you're just wrong. You're conflating all of the court cases because, if he'd stopped committing crimes, maybe we wouldn't get them all conflated. But since he seems to be a one-man crime spree, they get all twisted up. But those are the actual facts of each of those cases. Do you have any questions?
So you're referring to a 1994 document that the true size of the property was 10,996 square feet. That was back in 1994. So the judge used a 1994 document to say that the square footage is not 30,000 square feet, that the square footage is 10,996 square feet.
If it is still recorded with the state that it is 10,996 square feet, then it's 10,996 square feet.
So that just shows you that how shitty the New York
when you have a New York penthouse, when you have a New York penthouse on top of a fucking building, you're not expanding at 20,000 feet. You are an idiot. Cut it out.
You can expand by building below it or above it?
No, he did it.
In the penthouse of a building in New York? Dude, you are shoving square pegs in round holes, my friend.
Exactly.
What is happening on?
You can't connect a top floor to a bottom floor?
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened.
You can't do that? Is that impossible?
That's not what happened.
Someone doesn't do construction.
That's not what happened, though. Even if it's possible, it didn't happen. He didn't claim that.
So
you're the only motherfucker on the planet that's claiming it.
So you're claiming a 1994 document.
No, I'm not claiming anything.
You just said that it's 10,996 square feet.
Anything.
Apparently, the recorder's office and
I said I'm not claiming anything. That is what the court records show. It doesn't mean he didn't say I expanded the property. Here's my proof of construction. So it is 33,000 square feet. That he didn't leverage any defense whatsoever. They went by the stuff that was recorded with the state.
Let me ask you,
if he expanded it, he would have put it in there. He would have had to file a different deed.
Let me ask you, how many property owners do you think that actually go down to the city and register for expansion? It does matter. It does matter because this is proving my point.
You're not turning it. I'm not allowing it.
This is proving my point.
No, you're not. You're not doing anything but lying. You're lying out your ass.
How going after Trump is a gateway to going after the people.
Trump.
I just told you. You mentioned this square footage.
El.chico.tech.
Apparently.
Do you think the president should be
El.chico, let's let Raven get a word in.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think the president should have their records scrutinized? Do you think that that's a reasonable thing that you should do for somebody running the country?
Should a president have his finances open to the public?
I mean,
every other
essentially,
president, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, though. I mean, I still believe in privacy. I mean, I still kind of believe in privacy.
Every president has had to disclose all of their financial dealings, all of their stuff, all of their tax returns. Donald Trump was the only one who refused to give his tax returns, which is the only reason why they were leaked to begin with, is because he refused to give it.
So they were illegally leaked.
I don't give a fuck, dude.
I know you don't.
Point.
I know you don't care because you don't care about the law.
You know, I'm going to jump down on the ground. I can't stand this motherfucker.
Do you not care that he's not sharing them? Do you not find that to be suspicious?
What? That he's not sharing his tax?
That he chose not to share them, despite that being a pretty normal thing in this country?
Well, I mean, there was reasons why he wasn't releasing them, right? Weren't they like in the middle of like a lawsuit or something? Or there's a reason why he didn't release them, right?
Isn't he pretty much always in the middle of a lawsuit?
Yeah, that's what happened to businessmen. They're always in some type of legal suit.
Regardless,
are they not?
That should be something you consider.
So even if that's like, I can accept that a person who's like worth billions of dollars is probably going to have some frivolous lawsuits floating around about them. That makes sense to me. Should that make them exempt from investigation of their crimes?
I mean, you're saying they're crimes, but
you're defending the fact that these things aren't being investigated by saying that he has so many lawsuits going on that it makes it hard to investigate. So if you like, you do realize the power that gives anybody who is saying that he's committed crimes, and you're saying that the reason that he's not releasing the proof that would show that he didn't commit those crimes is because
we all commit crimes. We all lie about our value of our house, one way or the other.
So you have no standards.
Everybody should be prosecuted.
Do you have no standards?
Sounds like maybe you should be prosecuted if you're doing that.
Yeah, because I think when I bought my house at $130,000, and my city comes to me and says, "Hey, your value of your house is now $300,000."
Housing prices are going up. Dude,
you gotta pay the taxes.
Dude, you're so dumb. You can't even wait. You're so dumb that you bought. Dude, sorry, Raven. I just have to say it. You're so dumb, el.chico.tech.edu, that you bought a house for $130,000, and it is now worth almost 3 times that much, and you think it's an L because you have to pay more taxes on it.
Yes. I have to pay more taxes.
I think I'm going to call the show right there. I think I'm going to let him. I think I'm going to let el.chico.tech.edu, and I'm going to thank Raven for hopping up for that. But he'll be back. I'm not. People are going to say I ran from him, but thank you, Raven. Sorry. I should let you get your last word in. I cut you off, didn't I?
That's okay. I was just going to kind of go into the fact that like he is so unable to like mentally admit that Trump is committing crimes, and even when he is admitting it, he's just saying, "Well, everybody does it."
Including him, apparently.
It's just
I don't know, man.
The cognitive dissonance and the disingenuine just nature is wild.
Yeah. I mean, and usually el.chico.tech.edu is struggling with the concepts. Today, I feel like he was mostly being disingenuous.
Yeah, he showed up pretty shitty today with no intention of actually engaging.
I cannot believe that guy is older than me. He's 10 years older than me.
Right. And he's so confident in his ignorance.
Dunning-Kruger to the max. You got anything else before I kick you?
Nope. Bye.
Thanks for hopping up. All right, everybody, that's the show for today. If you want to support me, you can go to the link tree in my bio. Let's see how many Instagram followers I have. I know that's exciting for the people who don't actually want to go check, because I forgive you for not doing that work. That's fine. 43.3 thousand. It's growing. I'm working on quitting that job. So if you want to help me quit my job, you can go to the link tree in my bio and support me in the ways that maybe cost a little bit of money. No music today. I got to kind of balance it with the amount of music I do on the show, because I generally need to cut the songs out of the YouTube VODs, which kind of just makes the end of the show a bummer. And I'm going to let some of them slide and, have to pay some money to the estate of whoever owns the song or whatever. So I will be doing that periodically. So stick around for music most days, but not today. No more Venmos have come in, so thanks everybody. Thanks to the Facebook followers. I'm getting subscribers on there now, so that's like a little bit of revenue. There's so many different places. There's some supers going on YouTube. Like for me, it's like a mess to keep track of all the different places the support's coming from, but it's starting to add up to enough for me to be able to quit my job and do this full time, which is what I really, really, really want, because I'm already doing this full time. And I'll hang out. The Rose goal is very close, so I'll hang out I'll hang out until that goal gets met. We're at 271 out of 300. So if people want to send some roses, then you can shut me up and go about your day. But yeah, I just got to end every stream by saying how thankful I am that the whole debate social media thing is like going so well for me. I have like politicians following me on Instagram, and that like, I mean, obviously I'm happy that I have voters that are following me and listening to my arguments and my getting educated by me. But the fact that there are politicians in states that have redistrict maps that are like trying to do the work of keeping the midterms like workable for the will of the country, for what the people actually want. And like the fact that I run into those politicians because they're like in my comment section and reposting my videos and stuff like that. Like that makes me feel like I'm starting to get a real foothold. I joke with my buddies about it. I forgot when I became an influencer that influencers have influence. That's why they're called that. So it's exciting for me that I get potentially to like have my influence on the political landscape of America through what I'm doing in a way that's maybe just a little bit bigger than talking to a lot of voters, because I am getting in the ears of some powerful people. That's a huge deal to me. I cannot thank everybody enough for supporting the show. I'm living the fucking dream. Because I care about this stuff, and the fact that I get to do this instead of like slaving, doing like delivery driving to make bills at the end of the month. The fact that people like Andrea and Courtney, who send me money on Venmo, like pad that for me and make it so that I can really give enough time to this to keep at it. Like it's huge. It's huge. Rita Sure says, just remember, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm going to try to keep being responsible about it, because yeah, trying to do some good. Have a lovely day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be 10 to 12 Central Standard Time in the morning here on TikTok Live for the foreseeable. Got some days in June where that's going to interfere with the work schedule, but my plan is to quit that job after those days. So, and Ezra wants to be added as a mod. I will do that quick before I go off live, because Ezra should be a mod. Add moderator. And by the way, Ezra, I am going to add manage guests, which means that if I like step away to use the bathroom, you can kick a caller who like says a bad word or something like that if they're talking to somebody else while I'm away from keyboard. So with great power comes great responsibility. Wield it responsible, Ezra. I trust you. Have a good day, everybody.